Hey y'all, this is the Back Porch Podcast with Big Red
and Pastor Shay.
Let's get to it.
Welcome everybody to the Back Porch. Tonight we got a special guest. I am tickled to death to have Mr. Andy Cleary. He is a big safety man at our company, the company we work at. He is from, where are you from?
I'm from Wilkes County, North Carolina.
Wilkes County, North Carolina.
A community called Hayes, outside of North Wilkesboro.
And he has came here just to be on the podcast. He came all the way from over there, and all messing. He had business.
We had work to do down here.
This is the cool thing about tonight is this has happened twice before. We've got 3 Pike employees on the podcast. It happened with Sydney, which we didn't make a great big deal about it, but it's pretty weird when we get it like that. Well, we got everybody that works together.
Yeah.
Just got a bunch of good people work for Pike.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
We me and Mr. Cleary, we can't go into big detail, but we were able to be together last week, and we watched a bunch of whales and dolphins, and
had a good time. Yeah.
And you know how fascinated I am with sea creatures.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And figuring out if they're real or not.
Oh yeah.
I told this on the last it was with Tyler.
Yeah.
I said, man, I didn't know there were sea cows.
I didn't either.
Well, a manatee.
Oh yeah. Big. Is it an animal?
it's a big fish.
Big fish.
I was eating with Louis Ordez.
Yeah.
And he said, look at them bubbles. You see them bubbles? He said, that's a sea cow. And I was like, man, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then I saw the thing's face come out of the water, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is that? He said, it's a sea cow. It's a manatee.
You better watch that bubble thing, because it could be other things too.
Yeah.
Crocs like to do that too.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, he told me, and I know, here we go again talking about manatees, but he told me that alligator bubbles and manatee bubbles look different. There's a distinct look to it.
Yeah, well, turtles make bubbles too.
Yeah. Yeah, but, man, Mr. Andy, how you doing, brother?
I'm
We've been
good.
together all day. I'm trying to act like we ain't.
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm above ground.
So
that's good. It's always a good start of the day.
It is.
So we're not mountain people out here, but I mean we love the mountains. But how you like our little place?
I love it. I was telling you on the drive over, it reminds me coming across that water there. Puts me in mind of the parts of Florida at night time. Like Clearwater.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Yeah, I live up in Wilkes County, right there at the foothills, right before you start up the mountain. We're about 35 miles from Boone. I lived there not all my life. I'm still living. So I've been there first 8 months of my life. I was born in Shelby, actually, North Carolina, Cleveland County.
That's Earl Scruggs' neighborhood there.
Yeah, it is. And we moved to, I didn't know at the time, I was only 8 months old, so I don't remember it. But then we moved back home to our hometown of Trap Hill, North Carolina, outside of Stone Mountain State Park there. So all my family come from a big family.
Yeah. How big is the Cleary family?
They were 7 boys and 3 girls in my family.
Come on with it.
Yeah, and there's 6 of us still living. I was the 6th son born, and I got 3 sisters and a younger brother. So had 5 older brothers and 3 younger sisters and 1 younger brother. Yeah. We all lived there and grew up in Wilkes County, and
I bet when y'all showed up, y'all were ready to go, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah. We used to,
did y'all all go to church together?
No, we didn't. At different churches. Growing up, we didn't really. I wasn't actually raised as a small kid in church. Matter of fact, it was probably. I was 12, 14 years old before I really started going full time to church. And I remember my brother and I, Jeff, we used to actually walk to church, a little church about a mile from the house. We'd walk up a dirt road going to church. Big family,
Well, during they were doing live line. You know what they were doing? They were doing the live line demonstrations down here in our community.
Well, they might not know.
Well, we can get them to explain it. But while they were doing it, we'll go into the live line demonstration here in a little while and talk about our work and everything.
Yeah.
But while he was doing it, he was explaining how our company Pike came to fruition.
Yeah.
And I've heard that story before, but Andy did it real good. Andy, will you let everybody know how our company started?
Of course, I paraphrase it, and I apologize if anybody's listening and I say something not totally correct, but the story goes, and Floyd Pike started our company back in 1945, so we're celebrating 80 years this year. Not a lot of companies make it that long. And, I've been part of Pike for almost 36 years. So the story goes that back in the late 1945, around November, December time frame, and Floyd was a lineman, I think, at the time.
I wonder who he was a lineman for.
I think he was. I'd have to double check this. Don't quote me. I think it was Duke Power Company at the time. I don't know if he was working as actually. He must have been working actually for them as a lineman, but. Might want to check that. Yeah. But anyway, he was wanting to start his company, and he found out there was a truck that had fallen off a barge down here. He's at Beaufort or Beaufort here.
I've heard it was Kitty Hawk.
No, down here in the Beaufort area.
Beaufort, North Carolina. Yeah. Beaufort in South Carolina.
Yeah. So it was the Beaufort area, North Carolina. It had fallen off a barge, the old truck, and him and one more fella drove all the way down here from Mount Airy. At the time, I-40 wasn't built. No interstates at the time. So he definitely had a vision. He knew that truck was there, and he paid for it and got it running, and drove that truck all the way back to Mount Airy in freezing weather, no windshield.
Yeah.
In it, and he started his company. Matter of fact, Pike became Pike Electric. I think Florida Pike Electric. At the time, I think it was December 3rd, 1945 is when Pike became a Florida S. Pike.
Mm-hmm.
And that had to be tough coming out of wartime right there.
Oh, too. Yeah. And, I guess, start of this company was probably the ideal time because the war had ended and the electrification of America was really, starting to take off,
Mm-hmm.
Duke Power was a young company at the time. Well, that was probably around 30 years old. Well, 1904 is when they were started, I think. And
was it the Florida Power man told us in last week that Florida Power and Lights is only 100 years old right now?
Yeah, Pike's just 20 years younger than they are.
Yeah.
So I think the timing was perfect. And man, this company is just something else. I'm so proud to be part of Pike, and all my life. I started out as a lineman, and in day one, I just knew that, that's where the Lord wanted me to make my career, I just felt it, it gets in your blood. And people talk about being a lineman gets in your blood, and it does. But yeah, that's a great story. I love telling that story. I love hearing other people tell their, it's all the same story, but there's other people who know a lot more about the history and exactly how it got started. But, what I just told you is actually on a plaque up there in our office, in our boardroom. You've seen it.
And truck number one's in our main office.
Yeah, that old truck is a 1939 Ford.
So they kept the old truck.
They got it remodeled.
Yeah, I remember seeing that truck at our old garage one time. They kept it back there in the back, best I remember, and it was covered up. And to celebrate our 50th year, they had that truck totally remodeled. And I remember, I wasn't at the Christmas parade, but one year it was in the parade there at Christmas in Mount Airy. After they got it, they redone it and painted it the Pike yellow, and I think Miss Opal actually, that was Floyd's wife. Miss Opal actually, she rode in that truck during the Christmas parade.
Come on, that's cool.
Yeah.
And she wrote a book. And I got it in my house. I've read a lot of it.
Actually, that was Buddy's wife, Ann.
Okay.
Ann's there and everything.
Yeah.
That's would be Eric's mom.
Yeah.
Wrote the book, Climbing to the Top, the first 50 years. It was like we got that book in '95, and I was still out on the crew, and I read that book all the way through. I'll never forget it. And but when I started working in the safety department, I started meeting all some of these folks whose name I had heard, so I actually read that book over again later on, and all those names, started, okay, yeah, I know this guy
Put a
now.
face to
I met him, and a lot of history. She done a fantastic job with that book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it even shows, one of the first paychecks in that book. I can't remember how much it was.
Can't get a hold of this book.
I got it right in my house.
$3 or $4 or something, and But you know, when I started with Pike in '89, I worked with the guy that actually had started in the late '50s with Pike. So he knew Floyd. He had met Floyd, and one of Floyd's top right-hand man was a guy by the name of Porch. I never actually knew his real name. They called him Horse. He's a big guy. He was like I don't know if he was like second in command or not, but
the name fit though. He
came around a lot, But yeah, that history of how Pike got started is amazing story,
I don't believe there's another story like, as far as in the electrical field, I don't think there's another story like what we got at Arkansas.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies wish they had that story.
Man, you show up bidding for jobs and they ask you a little bit about your background, and somebody busts out with that story, well, we're going to go with them. I'd love to have of course, Floyd passed away, I think it was 75, way before I started with Pike, but he definitely had a vision, Now, when truck number 1 is sitting in Mount Airy, there's signs up that says "Do not touch."
Yeah, don't touch it.
And they got
look all you want.
Well, it's the 80th anniversary, and they brought it to Florida and put it in the hotel.
Yeah.
And there was people walking by there like, "Oh, look at this truck," and they were rubbing it, and I was like, They ain't supposed to be doing. I didn't say nothing, but I was like, they ain't supposed to be touching that thing. Talk like he said, truck number 1's gonna be here.
That's right. Yeah.
He said he told the hotel, he was like, y'all gonna have to just do whatever y'all got to do to let me get it in here.
It's definitely one of a kind truck. There's not many companies. I know there's some companies out there that probably got their old trucks, and stuff. But this one here, it just shines when you see it. Us knowing the history, how the company got started. That's what makes it to me so special. Every time I go into the lobby at Mount Airy, I look at it.
Me too.
It's sitting right there. You can't help but look at it and just think about how this company got started.
During Christmas, it's so pretty in the office because they got that great big old Christmas tree right beside the truck number 1.
Oh yeah.
And I've took pictures of it to show my wife, but pictures don't do it no justice. Walking in there and seeing the tree.
Yeah.
It's just pretty. But hey, let me talk about this for a second. I'd always heard of Mount Airy. I grew up right here where we're at right here. Just pretty much, you go about 3 miles down the road, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
And we would go to the mountains. We'd go to Boone and stuff like that. But I'd always heard about Mount Airy. I always heard about Andy Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
And I am a pro. I love the Andy Griffin show. Yeah. Love it. And I loved it better when it was black and white. When it got color, they didn't have Barney. But just as soon as I got the chaplain position, I had to go to Mount Airy. So that was the first time I've ever been to Mount Airy. And just as soon as I got there, it was 2 people met me. You know who they are.
Yeah.
And just as soon as they shook my hand, they said, "Let's go get something to eat." And I was like, "Okay." I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah.
Because if you ever go to the office in Mount Airy, it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's a great big castle looking thing. I mean, and I'm nervous already.
Big granite building.
Yeah, and when I walked in there, I walked in the front room, and there's just people everywhere. They got people with payroll, all kinds of stuff. And I'm nervous because I'm wearing FR clothing, and I've never been in the office to this magnitude. And then when the people that I was supposed to meet, they're like, "Let's go get something to eat." And I was like, "Okay." And when I got in the car with them, or got in the Tahoe with them, they were like, "So, what do you think of the place?" I said, "I want y'all to show me where they filmed Andy Griffin." And they're like, "Man,
it's about 2,800 miles away."
They're like, "It really didn't get filmed here. It was filmed in California." Yeah. That broke my heart. Because that's all I've ever heard. I was like, I've heard the Andy Griffin.
It was based off of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's it's kind of funny growing up. We never made it over to Mount Airy a lot. We spent most of our time either in around Wilkes County. We go up to Sparta, over to Jefferson, up to Boone. For some reason, I was trying to think. I don't ever remember as a kid going into Mount Airy, but when I started working for Pike in '89.
I was born in '84.
Well, you just some youngins here, ain't you?
I was born in '86, Andy.
I graduated in high school in '86.
I was 5 years old when you started with Pike. My man.
I was 3.
He's an elder.
Yeah,
I didn't even tell you to shake Andy's hand.
I did. I got it.
But anyway, I don't remember. But when I started working for Pike, I don't ever remember going over there much as a kid. But when I started working for Pike, it was probably went over there for Storm, first time I ever remember. And I was kind of like you, you know, we watched Andy Griffith growing up and knew of Mayberry, you know. But I guess it was around 2001. 2000, I went into the safety department. So around 2000, late 2000, I went into safety. 2001, you know, started going more to the corporate office over there, and then went downtown. I was kind of like you. I wanted to see where they filmed it, and I didn't know. I thought they filmed it right there, you know, but actually it's filmed in California. But Andy Griffith's home, that's where he was born. Born there. And I hope I'm saying this guy's name right. Emmett Forrest was one of our vice presidents, and that was back before I went into safety. He had retired. I think he retired in the mid '80s. I want to think before I came to work for Pike. Emmett did. That was one of Andy's best friends growing up. They grew up together.
And he was the VP with Pike.
He's one of the VPs. I'm not sure at what. I'm not sure what type of VP he was. I'm assuming operations type VP. But anyway, he, you know, he was instrumental of helping to bring a lot of the Andy Griffith stuff back to Mount Airy, like I think the highway's named after Andy up there. A lot of the memorabilia that's around the Andy Griffith Playhouse and all that. I think Emmett had a lot to do with that. And but yeah, I same way. I wanted to see Mayberry, you know, Maine, the jailhouse and all that. They got all that replica there.
Yeah,
it's all there. You know, they'll give you a ride in the police car. You know, the old black and white Ford Galaxy 500.
I've not yet rode in that, but I've followed behind it. I see where the stops are.
Oh yeah. Then I think Andy's house is like a bed and breakfast now. I think he actually stayed. It's a small single level house built back probably in the 30s, 20 and 30s. It's probably a 100-year-old house now. But it's there in town. It's right up the street from the hospital, I think.
Yeah. I can bring you right to it because I've been past a couple
times. They got
times.
signs out there. Yeah.
Steve Myers, you know him.
Yeah.
Man, he's like the best, and I don't think he's from Mount Airy. He's not from Mount Airy, but he's like the best guide.
Yeah.
Because like when I first started working there, I met Steve, and Steve was like, "You want us to eat lunch?" So now we've got a tradition. On Thursdays, when me or Mr. Joe gets there, we go eat with Steve. And Steve shows us around the whole place. He brought us to the rock quarry. That's something a lot of people don't know. There is a great big quarry over there in Mount Airy.
Granite City.
Yeah. Where they get granite, for the tombstones and stuff like that.
I think all the granite for our office came out of that quarry. I remember.
That was one thing I was going to ask. Yeah. But there's a church over there, downtown Mount Airy, that they said was Andy Griffith's church.
Probably the First Baptist Church there on Main Street.
Big
granite church.
It's a big granite church.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a Baptist church. I want to say it's it'll come to me. There's so many denominations. It starts with an M. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Methodist. It's a Methodist church.
Yeah.
But
it's the whole town. What's funny, one time we went downtown to eat at Barney's.
I love that place.
And I'm not sure if it's still open or not.
It is.
There was a guy actually plays Otis Campbell, the town drunk, and even smells like he's been drinking, whether he's drinking or not. But he wears the suit and the hat, and I haven't seen him. Of course, I hadn't been downtown in that area, and I can't tell you when. You know, we go to the office. We typically go out off 52 there, 601 to eat lunch, and I'd never get down into town. I used to go by there. The Easter Brothers, you heard of them?
Oh yeah.
I used to go by there and see James Easter a lot before he actually moved away. Before he passed away, he actually moved up to Stanton, Virginia. But I'd go in there and I met him, and he'd always hand me a guitar. We'd sit there and play and sing, and not a lot, but I'd done that about 2 or 3 times with him. Very, very nice man. So that's about the only time I really ever went downtown, because his music store's right there.
That's where I'd be at.
Oh yeah,
downtown. It's
still open.
Yeah.
I think maybe his daughter runs it. You know, that's Jeff Easter. Jeff and Sherry Easter.
Yeah.
James was Jeff's dad.
Yeah.
And
they're all kin to the Lewis family too.
Jeff married into the Lewis family.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sherry Lewis.
I don't like when I first went to Mount Airy. You know,
Sherry's mom was a Lewis, I think.
It was in the middle of the Chaplain Roll or the Power Line Roll.
Yeah.
And I was praying, and when I went over there and met everybody, I was like, man, this is a cool place. And I walked down Mount Airy Boulevard.
Yeah.
And I found the Easter Brothers because I heard everybody talking about that. And I walked in there and them people were so nice. They're like, you play, because they were jamming out.
Oh, yeah.
But anytime,
always somebody playing.
Anytime you go to the Easter store, there's somebody going to be jamming out.
First Blue Ridge guitar I played was the first time I ever saw the Blue Ridge guitar.
I own one. I own that Trinity Blue Ridge that has the cross and the
That's a
guitar and
pretty
stuff.
guitar.
That guitar's actually in
Mount Airy.
Mount Airy, right?
Yeah.
4 miles.
Getting some work done on it.
Right, about 4 miles down from the headquarters.
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine that works on guitars and banjos.
Getting it refretted? Or?
Yeah, he's got 3 of mine.
Yeah.
He lives right off of Andy Griffith Highway.
Off of the 2 there.
Because when I brought him over there, it was like right there. Before you take our exit, ain't that like 141 exit
You coming from
Mount Airy?
you going in towards town, going north?
Going towards the office. Like you take a ride out of Mount Airy and you're going towards the office.
Yeah.
You know, our exit is like
140, 141, something like that.
Yeah. Right before you get to our exit, his guitar man's on the left. You got to go across the road.
Okay.
But it was easy to find.
Yeah.
But I walked in there and they were jamming out and they didn't know me from Adam. And they were like, you play one of these instruments? I said, I play an instrument. I said, but it's one behind that counter. They said, anything you want to play in here, you can play. I said, you ain't going to let me open up one of them harmonicas and play. They said, no, you can't play a harmonica. And then I walked out and just how nice everybody was. I was like, I'm going to tell you what, this is a good place. Just everybody was super nice.
I met James's wife, his first wife, which was been Jeff's mom. They had I think it was one of James's little small granddaughters, and she was in the store, and I had a couple of them little pipe bears at the time. I had them in my car, and I went out there and got her one. And James's wife, she wanted one. I gave her one, and I remember after she passed away, I can't remember who it was. Somebody, it might have been James told me. He said, I remember when you gave my wife that little pipe there. She loved it. But there's a lot of history of the Easter Brothers. Just they've been around a long time. All of them unfortunately passed away. I think a couple of them here in the last couple of years.
I think all the brothers are gone now.
All the brothers are gone, and I think some of the nephews have passed away. I think Roger Easter was one of them. He passed away recently.
And the restaurant that I got to go to with Steve, which I love going, is the Derby.
The Derby.
We go to the Derby a lot.
I can almost tell you the last time I ate there. I bet it's been 20 years ago.
You ain't ate at the Derby in 20 years?
For whatever reason, we used to eat there all the time. We used to go to Mount Airy safety team. Well, the local safety folks, we'd have folks in Georgia, they'd call in, but it's either the first Friday of each month or the last Friday of each month. We'd meet in Mount Airy. We'd have a team safety call, with the ones out of town. Just 4 or 5 of us local would meet there at the office, and they always want to go to the Derby and eat. And we'd go there
for good reason.
Yeah, it's good food.
Don't one of these places have that big pork chop sandwich?
Oh, you talking about Snappy Lunch?
That's Snappy Lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the old Snappy Lunch. I got my hair cut one time. I went to Floyd's barbershop. And the old guy that cut my hair, I think his last name was Hyatt. And he found out I had a Pike shirt on. He found out I worked for Pike, and he knew more about Pike Electric. And he was an old man. This has probably been at least 20 years ago. I just said, I want to get my hair cut at Floyd's barbershop. So I went, and he cut my hair, and he'd cut a little bit, and he'd said, well, so-and-so worked with it. And I said, no, I don't know that guy. Or I do know him. Then he said, well, let me tell you about him. I bet it took him an hour to cut my hair.
It was a good time though, wasn't it?
It was, and I thought, oh man, I'm pretty sure he's passed away, because he's probably in his 80s then when he cut my hair. Old gentleman, I think his last name was Hyatt.
I bet you bless his heart. People like that right there, they love a good conversation.
They do, yeah.
Did he put the hot towel on your neck and stuff?
He did, he done all that.
Oh man, he had to do
old-timey barbershop. He actually cut Andy's hair. He told me about cutting Andy Griffith's hair. He used to cut it before he got famous, he said.
My favorite Andy Griffith episode is, now I might butcher this up, but there was a tree guy. There was a guy that had got a contract to cut trees. And Opie came in and he started talking about this man that's got a silver head.
Oh yeah, that guy out in the woods.
Yeah, he's out in the woods. He's got a silver head. He can make smoke come out of his ears, and he climbs on top of it. He swings from tree to tree.
Yeah.
And Andy was like, "Now, Opie, you know you're not being truthful." And Opie was dead on. He was like, "Yes, I am, Daddy." And Barney was giving him such a hard time. Barney's like, "You gonna let him lie like that, Andy? You need to get him right." And then Andy went out there just strolling.
Yeah.
And he called the man's name, and he came down from the tree, and he was a tree trimmer.
Yeah.
That was my favorite episode.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Growing up, we didn't. I don't remember watching a lot of Andy Griffith when I was. TV today is a lot different than it was back. You can. What do you call it? You get on Netflix. You pull up. You can stream old TV shows, stuff like that. Well, back in the day when you had reruns when they came on about once a week. So, I remember watching a little bit of Andy Griffith. I didn't really start watching it probably till I was in my teens, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Thank God for TV Land coming around back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, whenever we got a satellite dish, it weren't until 1996 when we got a satellite dish, and it was one of them big spaceship looking ones, and that introduced me to all that Beverly Hillbillies and the Andy Griffith Show. And right now, if you were to walk up to Dad's house right now, I guarantee you, either Andy or Gunsmoke. It might be Gunsmoke.
Brother, I know the viewers that watches us a lot, they know. When I say his daddy, he got in line work, and we worked for Pike. Out of town in Virginia. His daddy got into it really late in life, but he was older.
Yeah.
He was older. How old do you think Mark was when he first got into it with me?
He was in his 40s.
Was he in his 40s?
Yes.
Well, he got into it, and man, every night he was my hotel. He was the guy that stayed with me in the hotel every night. We were going to TV Land.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching something like that.
Yeah.
It's just a good time, man. It was better time. I feel like television was better then than it is now.
Oh yeah.
It might get you a good movie every once in a while, but
yeah. My wife and I were talking the other night. We don't know why we really pay for cable because there's nothing fit to watch on it. Number one, I mean, I like the sports. We love football, and she's all about Carolina basketball this time of the year. We like to watch not good, not all of it, but yeah, we was talking the other night. I don't know why we just don't cancel our cable and just start streaming everything, because every night when I'm home we're watching something either on Netflix or Prime. That's the cool thing about it. You can pull up some of those old movies and old sitcoms and watch them.
Well, we were talking about something, and it's a good time to geek out. Me and John Mark and myself, we're big wrestling fans.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the first time me and you rode around, we went to eat at the Cracker Barrel, and I said, "Yeah, I like Dusty Rhodes." Who's your favorite wrestler?
I would have to really say, even growing up, you love to hate this guy, but at the same time, you just loved him. Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He had a way about him that, he was a character.
Yeah.
I remember, my dad was a big wrestler fan, and we'd sneak off the LJBM, Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum up in Winston, and we'd go down to Greensboro Coliseum.
There's a lot of wrestling going on at Greensboro.
The NWA, the Jim Crockett promotions, and all that was going on at the time. And we'd go there and watch Ric Flair, Black Jack Mulligan, Ricky Steamboat, Wahoo McDaniels, Terry Funk, all these old wrestlers wrestle. And I really thought that stuff was real. Well, it is real.
I'm
not more scratch it. It's real. It's a real sport.
Well, in the NWA compared to the cartoony mess that WWF was doing, NWA looked real. They made that real. Yeah. I mean, and them boys would get hurt. They would.
I love talking about it because, man, wrestling when I was growing up, on Saturday nights you were going to watch WCW.
Oh yeah.
On Saturday morning you were going to watch WWF. And it was a part of me and my older brother. We used to watch it all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's just a big part of my life. And then people will be like, "It's fake. Don't you know it's fake?" I'm like, just about everything you watch nowadays is fake. And you want to pick out my favorite sport. Which, nowadays, I don't think they do as good. We were talking about good TV. Yeah. And so this is a good spot to talk about it. wrestling is not as cool as it used to be.
I don't watch that. Matter of fact, there was there's only probably a 10-year period I really followed wrestling. I followed it from I'm gonna say around 78 to about 85, 86, not hardly even 10 years, and I just quit watching it. I was older, and I suppose I got married in 89. I just plumb quit watching it. Once in a while, when they would bring Ric Flair back for a special match or something, I would watch that.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
Well, he's
retired like 6 times.
He retired a couple times, but man, I don't care. He made it entertaining.
He did.
And I got
flashy. He's one that wore the, at the time you'd talk about his $1,000 suits and his $600 shoes.
Jet flying, limousine riding.
Jet flying, limousine riding.
Son of a gun.
Son of a gun, yeah.
And Dusty Rhodes came out there and broke that promo that hard times.
Yeah.
And like the country people wanted Dusty to win. Everybody that was going through hard times, they wanted Dusty to win.
You know what was funny about wrestling back then? They would be enemies fighting against each other. Next thing you know, they'd be tag team. They'd be on the same side, tag team. They kind of went back and forth. That kept it interesting, though. But yeah, it's definitely changed a lot, But yeah, I kind of just follow the little Jim Crockett, I think it was. His promotions. They usually wrestle kind of local. They done what was it? They done Roanoke, they done Greensboro.
A lot of Charlotte.
Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
The Southeast was a huge bevy
for
wrestling. And they were competing with the Northeast, which was Vince McMahon Sr.
That's right.
And Jr. With the WWF. And NWA was just considered hicks, but the wrestling was so much better.
Yeah.
in the NWA, what they were doing.
I thought he said one name, but he didn't. But somebody don't get talked a lot about when we talk about wrestling is Barry Windham.
Which is Blackjack's son.
Yeah.
That's his son, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Barry Windham was, I think that was probably one of my favorites.
Blackjack, he's passed away, right? I think actually, he wasn't that very old when he passed away. 60s, I think.
The cool thing about where we're located at is my mama used to work at the airport. She worked for Avis Rent-A-Car. And she would call us while we were at home. And somebody would tell her, hey, somebody's about to get off the airplane.
Yeah.
And we knew if the phone rang at the house while we were tearing it up, while no parents were home, if the phone rang, that was Mama. And we'd answer and she'd say, you got a piece of paper and a pencil ready? We knew a wrestler was coming. I met Ric Flair at that little airport. I met Wahoo McDaniels, Iron Anderson, got pictures of him, Lex Luger.
I forgot about them, Ole and Gene Anderson, the Minnesota
Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
We had
Hammer Valentine. There's a lot of them old guys,
And they just come in and I'd always be like, because this was my superheroes. It was really not Superman or nothing. It was wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'd see him and I'd just be like, gosh knows that. I saw that guy on TV.
Yeah.
I
never forget one time we was at a wrestling match. You don't remember everything, but one thing that stood out is I never forget. Everybody kind of hated Greg Valentine. I forgot who he was.
The Hammer was easy to
fighting that night. But as he was going out, everybody was booing him, and somebody I never forget this, threw a hot dog or something at him, and it landed right on his chest and just went everywhere. And he was hated. I can't remember who he fought that night, but.
Well, the angle, which you said you were probably out of it by now, the angle where they kept on the Four Horsemen would attack Dusty Rhodes and beat him down. They broke his leg angle, everything. Yeah. People were so bought into that it was actually dangerous for them guys at these events because people would actually try to attack them.
I heard them.
Yeah.
I mean, now I met a lot of people around here that loved it, but his granddaddy loved. When I first started dating Stacy, he was still involved. He still loved wrestling. And you would get over there and talk to him while he was watching it, and he just knew. He was like, they're about to break his neck right now.
There's some of them old people call it scuffling. They don't call it wrestling, they call it scuffling. I never forget. Hear people call it that.
But yeah. So we talk about wrestling a lot. All times, if they did a top 5 right now of my favorites, if they asked me to do a top 5, Dusty Rhodes is going to be in there. I'm not going to say he was the best wrestler, but he was one of the best entertainers. Ric Flair,
Yeah.
Look, Dusty Rhodes did not exercise a lot.
No, he's a big guy.
You don't ever see big people like that right there,
No.
and everybody cheering them on. And Dusty can just get out there and talk some junk. And would do stuff.
Yeah.
You look at it on TV now, and you be like, that does look kind of goofy, but he's rocking it.
They all had their, their signature hold, so to speak, or like Ric Flair had the figure four.
Figure four.
Dusty Rhodes had
the atomic elbow.
Atomic elbow. Greg the Hammer Valentine, and Ricky Steamboat done the
everything. Like, he was wild, man. He was.
I forgot about Jimmy Snuka. He was a flying guy.
Yeah, he'd do like this. He had a bad history, by the way.
He does.
Snuka has a bad
Then
history.
he had Blackjack Mulligan had the claw, I think. Didn't he?
Well, the Von Erichs did the
Von
claw.
Erich, that's right, the Von Erich.
They had the claw.
Well, I tell you what, that's a tragic story.
That whole family.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's only like one of them left now, probably.
I think it's Chris. Is Chris the one that's
I think Chris is the one.
Yeah, they had a brother die real young, didn't they? I think, and then they just started falling off. I never followed them a whole lot. I think they were in a different.
Yeah, they had a different promotion. World class.
Yeah.
I think it was world class.
I know one of them fought Rick for the title one time.
Kerry and won. NWA title. He only held it for a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So moving on a little bit further than that group right there, but you don't remember Diamond Dallas Page?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You remember him? Well, he's doing yoga stuff now. Have you heard this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Diamond Dallas Page started a yoga thing. It's called DDP Yoga.
Yeah.
And man, the mess that he's doing is like is saving people's lives. Like it's such a good exercise. There was one guy that used to be a parachuter in the military, and he busted his legs up, and then he ended up gaining so much weight. And he wrote DDP and said, "I'd love to start doing your program."
Yeah.
This dude couldn't even get out of a chair.
Yeah.
And after he started doing the workout with DDP Yoga, this dude lost all his weight. He could run and do front flips now.
Wow.
And the reason I said that is because Lex Luger was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair now. Did you know that?
I know.
Yeah.
He's in bad shape, but DDP's working with him, and they talk like he's making great progress.
Well,
Lex Luger's a preacher too, is what I hear.
trying to help him. He pretty much saved Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall until Scott eventually passed away. But Jake the Snake's still doing good.
Yeah.
Now, which one ran for governor, or was a governor, or?
That's well, we got one that's Kane. Kane
was a mayor.
Yeah.
Knoxville.
He's talking about the one
Up Minnesota, or?
Oh, Jesse the Body.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah. Was he Minnesota?
Yes,
remember.
Jesse the Body. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
It was Minnesota.
governor.
Yeah, the governor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jesse.
I never really liked his character as far as in wrestling. He just, well.
Like I said, I'm getting out of it, mid 80s, 86, 87 probably, I guess, when I really probably just catch it once in a while. Not nothing like it was when I was growing up. My dad, he loved it, and me and him, my brother, would take off he drove truck, and he come in on the weekend. Usually there's about every couple months there was a close enough, event, and we'd go to it.
Yeah.
Back then you go to it for just a few bucks, We always enjoyed it. It's always a guy's thing. I don't remember my mom or my sisters ever going. It was always me and my.
Is there women that likes wrestling? I mean,
yeah.
but there's not many.
And we didn't go, every time, but we went quite a bit.
Maybe not back then, but there's a lot of women in wrestling now.
There you go. Ric Flair's daughter wrestles.
Yeah,
She
Charlotte.
is bad too. I believe she's like one of the best things they got going on.
He had a son died, didn't he?
Yeah.
Charlotte Hotel.
Reed.
Yeah,
Reed Flair.
Yeah.
Reed. That tore him up too. I've seen him in videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a video out. It's on Netflix. I can't remember. It's Ric Flair's life. He was adopted.
Yeah, from a couple in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think.
And he didn't, when he got into wrestling, the look he had then when he first got started was nothing like.
He was a big dude.
He was a big dude, yeah.
Him and Dusty were buddies,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a Texas wrestling group as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they were called, the Outlaws or something.
And Ric Flair
was huge.
He got in a plane wreck and broke his back.
And that's when he slimmed down.
They were talking about, I think in that documentary about him. I want to say Ricky Steamboat was in there with them. They were training under some guy, and they would be forced to carry each other up steps. so far, then
I heard them talking about that.
then they
I didn't know it was
they would
steamboat,
swap
though.
steps back and forth. You see, if you do that till you couldn't do it anymore.
And then keep doing it.
Keep doing it some more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Fun stuff.
well, we're gonna have to. Okay, so my question for you is, like you said, you got in line work at 89.
I did. Yeah.
All right, how long had you been in it when you said, I want to be a safety guy?
Well, they actually came to me. It was like you always remember where you was at on different times in your life, and they were widening 421, and we were doing the state job. We were moving the line. I was operating the line truck, and we had a bucket that ran with us, so it's like a 4-man crew. Seen this car pull up out there, and we knew it was somebody from Mount Airy. I said, "Oh, we're in trouble."
That's it.
And it was 2 gentlemen. One of them still works here, Pike. Got out and introduced themselves and was talking, and they asked me, could they talk to me for a minute? And I said, "I'm not in trouble, am I?" They said, "Well, no, you're not in trouble." Yeah, this was November of 2000. Best I remember, because I know it was getting cold, and they said, we're interviewing some folks for potentially coming into our safety department. We pull folks from the field. They explain, all our safety team came from the field. At the time we were, only had about 6 or 7 people in the safety department. And the guy that had it before, he had retired in August that year, August of 2000. So they had an opening, for a couple months. And they talked to me, interviewed me. I had forgot, I didn't tell you this, right before that guy retired, like in September. He retired in August, I think, or he retired in September. Right before that, in August, he had came out, and this same gentleman I was telling you about still works here. They had came out and just to visit our crew. Didn't mention anything about the job. Then it was in November when they came back out and actually offered me the job, and they said, "Well, we're talking to a couple more people," and I come to find out that they kind of had their mind made up that day when they left out there. So,
your job just looked good.
Yeah, they they asked me about what my thoughts about working in the safety department. I said, well, I'd definitely like to give that a try. That sounded like something they ask you, are you shy about standing up in front of people? I always had a shyness about me, probably can't tell it, but I never had a problem getting up and talking in front of people, especially if it's a subject right?
Yeah.
I don't know everything about line work, but I felt like I could, do a good job with that. So they that was kind of mid-November, right before Thanksgiving. I think it was the 1st of December. They called me back and they offered me the job. I went up and went up and met at the time he was probably vice president of HR. I met him. Started on best I remember, it was December the 11th on Monday, 2000. You remember dates.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. I enjoy helping people. We seen a big change in our industry as far as the culture.
Yeah.
The culture of how we do our plan our jobs and do our business, and how we do our work. And it's being a contractor, we get rough jobs, but they don't have to be dangerous.
Yeah.
We don't. We can do those jobs and do them. So the culture's changed a lot, and the safety. Being part of the safety team for the last almost 25 years, I've seen a lot of changes, and I enjoy it. I enjoy being in safety.
Line work's changed a lot in 10 years.
Yeah, I think the culture has changed a lot. It really has, and we got proof of that. If you're not getting into our business of numbers and stuff, but just looking at, it's called the Bureau of Labor Statistics for our industry. There's always, you can look back and see the history of how the culture has changed. You can do this work and you don't have to get hurt doing it.
Yeah.
That's any industry, that's any job.
I like what you told the guys when you were doing the live line demo. you asked them, you said, how many of y'all think line work's a dangerous job?
Yeah, I always ask that.
I love it how you do that because it don't have to be dangerous.
That's
we
right.
we make it dangerous.
That's right. When they raised their hand and said, yes, it's a dangerous job, I said, well, I know I'm kind of tricking you there.
Yeah.
I want you to understand that, especially I love talking with those folks at the colleges that get ready to graduate and get into this industry. I want them to know that, this industry is not a dangerous occupation. We can make anything dangerous. We can, work in a pie factory and take shortcuts, but they need to understand that, that this, you're dealing with high voltage, it's, it does not discriminate, don't matter who you are, but I promise you can work a career here. All you gotta do is follow rules.
Yeah.
Those
procedures and policies.
Those shortcuts are where people lose their lives at.
You're right. I always said that safety's work.
Yeah.
To work at to do a job safely, it takes work. It takes planning. And it's like with anything. Even being at home, doing little small jobs around your house and stuff. You got to plan safety into that. I mean, you get hurt at home easy. You can at work.
It's just like when you get ready to mow grass.
Yeah.
What I used to do is I would just jump on the lawnmower and start mowing grass. And if there's an obstacle there, I would do everything I had to do not to have to get off the lawnmower.
Oh yeah.
But the more it would go on, I'd be like, how about I just clean the yard up and look for the toys that Jackson's left out there, and then mow, and I won't have to do none of it. Like trying to dodge some of these obstacles with a zero turn, sometimes you run over the mess.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and then you got a wife that wants to plant trees in your front yard.
There you go. Yeah.
But
I was around them for 30 years.
You can like safety needs to be forefront. It don't just need to be in line work. It needs to be like driving.
Everything, yeah. Our whole life is full of obstacles. And, it doesn't mean that, like I said, you can get hurt at home easy as you can at work. You just don't think about that because you're at your house and I'm in my backyard. I can do what I want to, but yeah, you can working off ladders, or it doesn't matter. You can get hurt pretty quick. But our work that we do are seeing it through the lens of safety. Is really. I wish everybody could see it the way somebody that's in safety sees this work. Through the lens of safety, how important, and I think everybody's understanding that because you can see it in the culture of the way we work now, the way companies did back 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The industry, the culture has changed a lot. It's rough work. It's dangerous work. It can be dangerous, but mitigating those hazards and having that good job plan, and having those barriers in place. We talked about that today, having that PPE.
Yeah.
And using all those procedures, it's safe work.
Yeah.
It's some of the safest work you can do if it's planned properly, and you stick with the plan.
And you gotta stick with it because you take an inch and it becomes a foot. You take a foot, it becomes a yard, and we've had to reanalyze that work as far as PPE goes, and you go out even on these jobs where you don't think there's really a hazard, and you don't have your PPE on, something could happen.
Yeah.
Even if you're just hammering a stake in the ground where a pole's going.
Yeah, that's right.
And something flies up and you've lost an eye.
That's right.
I mean,
5 seconds, you've lost your sight there.
You're supposed to have your safety glasses on.
I got a question. There was and I know the answer to this question, but I was talking to a guy in another company, and he asked me what the first line of defense was. What do you, Andy? What do you consider the first line of defense?
Let me explain it through the eyes of. I consider myself a safety professional. I got a couple certifications that says that, but this is the way I look at it. When it comes to mitigation hazards, so I got this job task, right? Here's my task. Here's the hazards. When I'm looking at those hazards, the first thing I need to look at is how can I eliminate that hazard. Mm-hmm. So as far as the hierarchy of control, if you look, there's a triangle out there. It talks about, it's kind of an upside down triangle, like this, it talks about elimination being the most effective. Mm-hmm. So elimination, when you're looking at how to control the hazard, you always look at elimination How can I eliminate it altogether? PPE would be your last line of defense at that moment.
There we go.
Now, when I can eliminate that hazard, say it's the electrical piece of that hazard, that's when my PPE becomes my first line of defense because I'm having to work. I can't eliminate that hazard, that electrical piece of it. So now I'm having to use that PPE, which then it becomes my first line of defense because I'm actually having to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're thinking about controlling hazards, PPE should always be your least effective, your most effective. How can I eliminate this hazard? I'll give you an example. If I'm working inside this room right here, and I'm using an air compressor, and I'm using a nail gun, loud noise, right? Loud noise. Well, a lot of people say, well, just put hearing protection on. Well, let's open that door out there and set that air compressor outside.
There we go.
And close that door. I've isolated that noise exposure. I don't have to wear my hearing protection. So it's all about, and that's what we try to, we talk to our employees and we'll talk to anyone that's in this type of work, think about what piece, you may not always be able to eliminate all of the electrical hazard piece of it, but there's pieces of it you might be able to eliminate, like a top of a switch. If you're making up a brand new pole and you're hanging a new switch, let that cutout be the last thing you energize. As far as the top of it, you don't have to work around that switch.
That's right.
It sounds simple, and it is. Hazard elimination.
I went through line work believing this, and I could be just speaking out of school, but I went through line work believing this. My first line of defense is that right there. Is using my senses. All right, I don't need to get under that. I don't need to put PPE at risk of having to work. You know what I'm saying? And I might be completely wrong with that. And you know a whole lot more about safety than I do.
I've heard people say your best PPE is between your shoulders, your head.
Yeah.
You got to keep your head in the game.
And then when I first got in line work, they were like,
keep your mind on the task.
When I first got in line work, they were like, you don't get paid to think. Neck down, baby.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be really dangerous if I don't think nothing.
Yeah, we're actually paying you from the neck down, not from the neck up.
You get a white hard hat.
Oh, you got to have tough skin in this industry. That's what I love about it. We pick and carry on. I have never met a lineman that really and truly at the end of the day that I didn't get along with.
Yeah.
That's something, we had a lot of fun. My brother, Jeff, he was 3 years older than me. He actually started with Pike in '87, and he'd been working 2 years. Actually, three of my brothers, back then Pike had a tree crew. Had tree crews back then. Actually, Pike tree crews. And we had the new contract, a lot of Pike crews, and they were working it. And I actually got hired to be on a tree crew and ended up, making a good decision to go to the line. So pretty quick. Within the first day, I started on the line crew. But
we're back in the tree business.
Yeah, we are.
Big time.
Glad to see that. Yeah. But it's you talk about PPE when it comes to controlling hazard. You always should think about that being the last line of defense. How can I eliminate that hazard?
Mm-hmm.
The electrical piece. Whether if I'm working under I used the analogy of the air compressor there, eliminating that noise. And,
that was a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, you can use that if you want to. I didn't copyright it.
That's a Cleary special.
Yeah, that was it. I remember, you mean a lot to me, Andy, because I remember like when I first got on this side of things. Me and you actually first really talked at the one managers meeting where I played the harmonica.
Yeah.
And you came up to me and you're like, I bet you can play gospel music. You said something like that, and I was like, that's all I play. This right here was nothing like it. And we kind of got hanging out, and then you invited me to one of them live line demos. And, man, it was like, just things started clicking. We both loved Jesus.
That's right.
We both loved bluegrass gospel.
Then he came and we jammed at the church.
That's right, at the church.
This was the first time he came. He was like, I was like, you want to see the church?
I was ready to throw down, start a gospel group with Andy.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And it could still happen.
It was special. It was special how like you were in Jacksonville and I was like, you want to see my church? And you're like, yeah. And we rode up there and I got John Mark and we started jamming out.
We did, yeah.
Andy said, it feels good in here. I said, oh man, it's a good feeling.
Still got that video somewhere.
I still got it in that one. But we thought he was a guitar player, and he is.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
But then he got on that piano, and like John Mark put his guitar down, I put my harmonicas down, and it was one of them sweet moments where you're just standing by a piano and singing as loud as you can.
Yeah, I'm not nowhere near a piano. My wife Missy, she's a pianist in the family. My favorite piano player in the world is my wife. I say that really meaning it, because she's played. She was taught at a young age to read music. She can read music, but she got to the point where her music teacher told her, "I can't teach you no more because you're not going to play by music. You're going to play by ear."
That's good.
You know.
That's good.
So she taught me when we started dating, and I met her. It'll be 40 years this fall, by the way. When I met her, she taught me a C chord. That's the only chord I know. So if that song's in C, I can sort of play it, you know.
Well, you fooled me. He did good.
The best thing they ever invented is these keyboards where you can transpose. You can play any B flat, play in C, or, you know, whatever, D, play in C. But yeah, that was fun. I just love music, you know. I always have. Grew up, you know. We were blessed with. I think you have a talent. It's God given. Period. You know, and I love to. It's not. I don't show off. I don't never say I show off my talent, but I like to show the talent God gave me.
Amen.
You know? And I just love all kinds of music, really. But my favorite music's always been Southern gospel, bluegrass gospel.
That's me, brother, right there.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday, I told Andy a little bit about Sunday. We at our church, and I believe I'm just it's the church we go to, and I'm biased. But I feel like everybody that gets up there to play, every one of them's anointed. Mm-hmm. And everybody gets up there to sing. Everybody brings something to the table. We got like an old school feel in there. We got a piano player, bass player, drummer. But there's a lady that goes to church with us. Her name is Cheryl Davis. Mm-hmm. And she can squall, but she can sing.
She belts it out.
And there's one song that we love, that me and her love, that we've talked about it before, and it's I don't know what you came to do, but I came to praise the Lord.
I'm gonna look that song up.
Well, we probably play it on the TV here in a minute, but she walked up and we got two electric guitar players for some reason, because we got another guy came.
Got a buddy Chris.
And we had two electric guitar players. Well, he was in my seat where I sit to play the harmonica, and I was like, he can have that seat. You know, I get up here and sing, which don't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And Cheryl was coming, and I said, Cheryl, I don't know what you came to do, but I came to praise the Lord. And she went and got that microphone and got right beside me, and we took off in that song, buddy.
I kind of like you being up there where you can just throw your harmonica in there.
Well, that was new.
Yeah, I liked it.
But the thing that I noticed was hard. Was like, I'm trying to sing with Cheryl. And I'm like, I don't know what you came to do. And she's like, hit the harmonica. And I'm like, but it went good.
How'd you learn to play the harmonica?
There's a story.
Well, I was in church one Sunday, and like the church we used to go to, when they say choir assemble, everybody would go up, and there'd be like 3 people in the congregation. And it was me that was in the congregation, me and my cousin Redneck. And there would probably be like 2 more. Everybody else was up there just going nuts. And I remember one Sunday I prayed. I said, Lord, I don't like being left behind, which is a thing that Christians need to be thinking about anyways.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lord, I don't like being left behind. My whole family's up there. Even my brother's up there singing, and I've never played nothing, never sung.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, if you let me play an instrument, I would love to be able to. Well, that week, I was working for Pike.
Yeah.
We were working in Manassas, and I was with his daddy. His daddy was working with me. And after we got done working, I said, let's go to the guitar center. I want to go find me something. I'm going to start playing something. So we went. They got a great big guitar center in Manassas. Yeah. Or it's not Manassas, Alexandria.
Oh, yeah. I love guitar center.
And we went in there, and I was like, I want a guitar, or I want a banjo.
Yeah.
And Mark was showing me all the cool things, all the shiny knobs, and I walked by the harmonica rack, and this ain't no joke, Andy. I walked by it, and I felt like the Lord was like, that's you right there.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I fought it. And I was like, that's a child's toy, Lord. You know, I was thinking to myself, there ain't nobody plays these things. And I walked off, and I grabbed the banjo, because that's a cool instrument.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I was messing with it, and Mark was telling me about it, I just felt like the Lord was like, You need to go back to that rack.
Yeah.
And I quit, and I went over there to the harmonica rack, and I grabbed me two. And that's how it started.
So there, to have a whole set, I mean, you got one that plays in A, one plays in B, C, and so forth. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So let's just start with like a C harmonica.
Yeah.
If you got a C harmonica, when you blow the C harmonica, that's C. Well, when you draw it in, when you suck in on it, that's G.
Okay, because I've heard that before. Yeah, that's right.
And vice versa with any harmonica you get, it plays, and there's three positions you can play: first position, second position, third position. I play a lot of second position because it's bluesy.
Yeah,
I think that's
good at it. Yeah.
Well, I wish I was better, but that is actually a God-given talent because I was not looking to be a harmonica player.
Yeah.
But I got in the hotel room and Mark was with me, and Mark plays the bass. And about the second night, he was like, "You're doing pretty good with that thing." I had a train. First thing I learned how to do was a train kick. Wobble, 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 wobble.
I bet everybody around the motels wondering what's going on.
Well, the thing is, his daddy was really patient with me. Like
Walls are thin.
I would tell him, I was like, "If you want me to quit, just tell me." And he was like, "No, man, keep going. You're doing good." I'd actually go in the bathroom in the hotel because somebody had said that it's better acoustics.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like nobody heard me, and I'd be in there and I'd be trying to hit figure out a note, and it'd be like, let's just say if it was Amazing Grace. Amazing. And I didn't know where to go. And then I remember when I finally went, Amazing Grace, I heard Mark in the room. He said, "You got it there, Shorty." So, and 3 weeks later, my father-in-law was like, "You're not going to learn nothing if you're just sitting there watching us. Come on up here." And I was like, "Man, I do not know enough." He's like, "You'll never learn until you get up here."
Yeah.
So that's it. Put some, and like.
It's a pretty cool instrument. It's so beautiful. We cut a gospel album back in '87 with my mom, with my wife's mom and dad's group, my in-laws, and a guy by the name of David Johnson. You look him up; he's a tremendous musician. And he put the harmonica on a couple of those songs, and man, just give you cold chills,
Well, Southern Gospel was eat up with harmonica playing.
Well, Charlie McCoy used to play the harmonica.
In Nashville. Yeah, sure did.
Something I have noticed. Now, a harmonica and a fiddle will go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If you got a harmonica player and a fiddle player, they're going to end up competing.
They can twin each other.
Yeah. And that dobro. I've started not dobro, but that gitjo you play. There's a lot of times when you take a blank spot. I'm thinking about taking it. So, I believe they go hand in hand pretty good.
Well, I play that gitjo like an electric guitar a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I play the banjo like...
My brother Boyce, I was up at his house the other day. I say the other day, probably back in January. He bought this thing. It's a guitar, but it sounds like a banjo. Mm-hmm. You ever seen one of them?
It's a gitjo.
Well, mine...
Is that the same thing you're talking about?
The one I have is a guitar body with a 5-string banjo neck. And you play it like a banjo, but it sounds like a guitar.
Well, no, this would be play like a guitar and it sounds like a banjo.
Yeah, a banjo-tar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him I was going to come by and get it and take it over to church because we have choir practice every so often at church. He told me to come by there and get that. You talking about a musician, but he can play anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's real good. He's actually a minister himself. He pastors a church in Wilkes County, but yeah, he's always learning to hit bagpipes one time. He's learned how to play the bagpipe.
You got to have some air to do that.
Yeah, he got that. He had it over there. And you just play it and you chord it like a guitar and it sounds just like a banjo. So weirdest sound.
Well, my harmonicas has kind of taken a back seat here recently for a little while from me. I'm like preaching.
Yeah.
So, and I wish there was a way that I could average that. And I'm sure there's some people that could give me good advice on it. But I feel like sometimes at church I need to be focused on what they're singing and be over there worshiping. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll just pick them up and go play. I get like if they're dependent on the harmonica to be there. Like we sing one song. What is it? Oh man.
Ain't No Grave.
No, not that one. But I hit in that.
There's some songs that need feels. So
that one song that we just. It was like one of the first ones our church really got together and did it. It's the one where I'm a going home.
Going home with Jesus. In the twinkling of an eye.
And that takes a harmonica.
That's
Magruders.
Oh
my goodness, Andy, you know the Magruders.
Now, I'll tell you.
Y'all need to watch the Magruders YouTube video.
I'll tell you who we need here. To be a young 30, almost 34-year, my and Missy's son, Justin. the only kid we got. Knows more about gospel music than any kid his age. He's actually a songwriter himself. He's wrote
You told me about,
a couple songs. Had one actually recorded by a minister who travels, different places, and he's actually sung a song over in England. One of Justin's songs. And, but that kid, knows more about gospel music than anybody I know. And I think it's because it started when he was young. Our favorite gospel group has always kind of been the McCameys, and I remember us popping the VHS into the VCR. Some people may not know what a VCR is.
Some people won't.
When he was 3 or 4 years old, or 2 or 3 years old, he getting ready for church, we'd pop that tape in, and he'd watch Peg McCamey, swing her arms around, and he would mimic her.
And singing "Here Comes Jesus" right on time.
funniest thing, he would mimic. And so we were singing in our gospel group, my wife's mom and dad's gospel group. It was the Believers Quartet. We traveled kind of local around.
That's a cool gospel.
3 or 4 counties there, over in the mountain cities sometimes. But anyway, his nanny, which is Missy's mom, would actually hold Justin, and he would carry a tune at 2 years old.
My goodness.
Great tenor singer, great. He's my favorite male vocalist. Always will be, Justin is. But I'll tell you a little bit about him. I got to share this. He's married a girl that we couldn't pick a better daughter-in-law in the world than we got, Courtney. We love her to death. They got married in 21, and we got 2 grandsons. We got Liam, was born in 22. June 24th on my VC's 33rd wedding anniversary. So it's easy to. Now all the anniversaries are all about his birthday now, but he's soon to be 3 years old. And we got Luke. He was born on he's October 20th this past year, 24. So we're neck deep in being grandparents right now.
Loving it.
Best thing in the world. We love those 2 boys.
You spoil them and then send them back home.
You heard me ask about the boys. And now Liam, he's all about Minnie. That's my wife, Minnie. Because I can go over and see them, without Minnie. And the first words out of Liam's mouth is, where's Minnie? You heard her a while ago on the phone. It took him an hour to ask where I was at. But he loves his pop. But yeah, we are so blessed. They live half a mile from us, so we see them a lot. We go to church together, and we sit there every Sunday with Liam's in my lap, and Missy's usually holding Luke or vice versa. So yeah, I had to share that because we're neck deep in being grandparents right now. Best thing in the world.
But who was it you said is the best male vocalist? Is your favorite?
Oh yeah, they're in gospel music.
Didn't you say that he was?
Oh, now Justin is. Yeah. Justin is. I play a lot for him, at church and stuff.
I've heard some of the video. Last time you came and done this, you shared something with me where you can look it up on Facebook.
I just love his voice, and of course I'm partial. He's my son.
That helps.
Yeah, we're proud of him and Courtney, the life they live. They're really involved in our church, and she came from a strong Christian background. Her daddy's actually he's part of the ministry. They go around the prisons.
Prison ministry.
Prison ministry, yeah. But it's fun being grandparents, sure, yeah.
Now the Magruder's. Now when I was learning how to play the harmonica, same scene like what I was telling you. The Magruder's, when they would sing that song, that's kind of where I cut my teeth. I was listening to them.
Oh yeah.
And
if I ain't mistaken, they would do a cappella, a little bit of that song.
The captain of the vessel was calling, get on board. There's a harmonica needs a beat right after that.
Yeah.
When the captain of the vessel, he's calling, get on board, you need to have a wah, 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 wah. And so I'd listen to that on the radio, and I'd be going down the road, all right, so this might have been against the law, it might not, but Mark would be driving the bucket truck, would be going to a job, and I'd have that harmonica, and I'd be right there at the window just practicing what I was hearing on the radio.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was some good. Man, I swear there were some good times.
Yeah, I used to, back in the '80s.
I'd be driving down the road playing the harmonica, Andy. Like if I was by myself, I'd just pull that thing out. I'm the only one in this room that's got an instrument where I can play while I'm driving.
That's right. I used to love those live bands.
The Kingsman Quartet.
Kingsman Quartet.
Oh my gosh, man.
The big tall guy, Jim.
Jim Hamill.
Hamill.
Big Jim.
Big Jim. Then you had, of course, the Ray Dean Reese.
Ray Dean Reese, man.
With the little short guy used to sing with them.
Ernie. Well, Ernie was in the 70s.
Had a real high voice. Blonde-headed guy.
Gary Shepard was in the 80s.
Yeah.
87, Gary Shepard.
And Anthony Berger.
On piano.
Anthony Berger.
Oh, man.
See, now that's where I was raised at. So, I ended up playing bluegrass professionally, but I was raised on the Happy Goodmans.
Oh, yeah.
The Kingsman Quartet. Mainly the Cathedrals. And then whenever the Kingdom Airs became a group in the early 90s, we were all about them too. But that's my music.
Yeah,
Gold City.
Gold City.
Yeah, Brian Free. Back when it was Brian Free and Ivan Parker, and of course the bass singer Tim Riley. I can't remember the baritone guy they had. He might have been lead.
Mike Lefebvre.
Mike Lefebvre. That's right.
You said Ivan Parker.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, which lives right across the road there, he married his wife, which is Jade.
Yeah.
That's her cousin. Ivan Parker's her cousin.
He's from down this way somewhere, isn't he? I think he's North Carolina somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
wherever Jade's from, Jade is his cousin. Straight up.
Yeah, and Brian Free, he's a heck of a tenor singer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Little old guy, he's not a very big guy,
but hands down, Anthony Berger, as far as I've ever paid attention to anything, is the best piano player that ever.
Yeah.
That's my fault. I mean, I might be wrong, but
he had a bad accident when he was young. Got burned on the furnace, I think. Got his hands burned on the furnace, But died at 40 years old, young.
He was on the cruise. On the Gator cruise, whenever he had a heart attack at the piano.
That's right.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yes, on the cruise. Yeah. But
he would. Him and Ivan Parker and Kirk Talley had that trio there.
I saw that.
Sang Glory Road.
Glory, they done good.
That's one of my favorite songs, Glory Road.
Yeah.
We got a guy at our church. He sang. They got a gospel group, and that Glory Road they play that a lot.
I used to love those. When Gaither started back in kind of
late 80s, he started that.
Mid 90s or early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
started
that first one was in the late 80s. Whenever
Now you can look on there now and see, there's a lot of them going.
Long
Yeah.
And Bill's 80.
Yeah, still
7
going.
or something.
Man,
he's up there.
He don't have that real deep bass voice.
No, he ain't a bass man.
But he sings that his ear for music.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably one of the best at it.
Well, he's a gospel music genius.
He's a genius, yeah.
And his wife.
The song that Elvis recorded of his, "He Touched Me."
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget when they done the interview with him. They said when you wrote that song, he said that was the one that bought the bus because Elvis recorded that song.
How you feel about Elvis, Mr. Andy?
I've always been an Elvis nut. You ask my wife about that. I can tell you about not everything about Elvis, but Mama followed him. I'll never forget the day he died. Mama came across the TV and Mom was all upset. I didn't know what's going on. Elvis died. I first thought it might have been his daddy, but I'll never forget that. But anyway, I always liked, Elvis's gospel music, but even his rock and roll music, you love to hear it. I did, you just love watching them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what famous bass man was in Elvis's group, right?
Oh yeah, J.D. Sumner.
And then the Stamps.
Stamps Quartet,
I listened to him do an interview, and he's like, they're like, how do you sing so low? He said, vodka. No, what was it?
He was drinking back then.
I think he was in the Guinness Book of World's Record for the lowest.
He used to hold it.
At one time,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was man, I love their harmony on some of those songs. I always liked to hear Elvis when he sung, "Oh, I wish I was in Atlanta Cotton."
Oh yeah.
He would say, "Take it, fellas," or "Sing it, fellas," and that's when the Stamps Quartet would do their part of that song.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hear the drums start boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Then Elvis would do his thing. He would throw his arms up, and that's when I used to.
I love hearing Elvis, and he got a bad rap because of his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it probably weren't. And I ain't saying that he needed to have that lifestyle, but I'm gonna tell you, man, it probably weren't easy being Elvis.
Oh no.
I mean, every time
I've heard he went to the dentist in the middle of the night or stuff like that.
Yeah, every time you walk outside, someone be flashing the camera in your face. Which it's the lifestyle he asked for. But man,
it's tough for me, no more famous than I am. No, I'm kidding.
I'll be riding with Andy, but be taking pictures of Andy.
That's never gonna happen.
But man, I feel bad for him because man, like when I first got into listening to gospel, I knew I liked Elvis already. Like I said this on the last podcast. I've been in Southern gospel music for about 7 or 8 years now. I'm playing catch up. Mm-hmm. But like I already liked Elvis, so then when I started listening to Elvis's gospel music, man, he tore it up.
He had just a beautiful voice. But can I tell you a funny story? My in-laws has always sung gospel music. My wife's dad, he passed away in 2006, but my wife's mom and dad, along with her brother, had a quartet, had a trio called, what was the name of that trio? I don't forgot. Anyway, they sung a lot of the Rambo songs.
Oh, Dottie.
Songs. Yeah. They had recorded Build My Mansion, Next Door to Jesus, a lot of songs on that album. But I was at their house one day, this has been years ago. You know, on the back of the album cover, they'd give all the musicians. They went to Nashville and recorded this album back in the... Matter of fact, the album cover of that album's got my wife's mom and dad on it, along with her brother, which is my wife's uncle, Major. Missy's actually in that picture, but you can't see her. Her mom was pregnant with her. So back in the late 70s, early 71, they went to Nashville. And if I ain't mistaken, that's the album they recorded in Nashville. And I was reading the back of the cover one day, and it said, it was giving all the list of the musicians that contributed on that album, and one of them was DJ Fontana. Mm-hmm. And I asked my father-in-law, I said, do you remember who played drums on this album? He said, Lord, Andy, that's been so many years ago, I don't know. He said, I remember the studio musicians being there. I said, well, you don't know who DJ Fontana is? I said, that's Elvis's original drummer. One of Elvis's original. The 68 comeback special, pretty sure that's DJ
Just
Fontana.
happened to be in there.
Just happened to be in that studio. I said, well, that's pretty cool. You got Elvis's drummer, playing on an album. But
that's some cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
One of the Rambo's best songs is one we do at church a lot.
Yeah.
Homesick.
Oh yeah, we love that song.
Yeah.
I've never been as homesick before.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one.
Y'all got to plan a trip one Sunday. Just come hang out with us one Sunday.
We love to. We talking about camp. We love camping. We got into it a couple of years ago. We camped in Emerald down here last year. That's not that far from here. So maybe we can work it in.
About 45 minutes.
Hey, look, when Andy came down there, we were in Wilmington, he was like, well, how far such and such? I was like, 45 minutes. And then he'd say something else. I was like, about 35, 45 minutes. Then Andy, David was with us. He said, Shorty, we're 45 minutes from everywhere, ain't we?
It's a geographical oddity.
Oh, brother, what there?
He's a fop man.
But we are 45 minutes from a lot of stuff.
We are.
Well, you kind of, I was asking him.
We're in a great spot.
That's pretty cool, 30 minutes from the beach here. And if you want to go to the mountains.
5 hours from the mountains.
Yeah.
You can get there a little bit quicker than 5 hours.
I remember having to go to the beach, or not having to go. You never have to go to the beach. You want to go. We always went to the beach growing up, but I-40 wasn't built at the time, so you had 421. It took about 6-7 hours. We always went to Carolina, Curie Beach. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and Dad would like to leave at like at midnight and drive all night to get there. I remember going through the little small towns of, I don't even remember the name of them. Was it maybe Siler City was one of them. But we followed 421. The ends down at the, what is that, Fort Fisher?
Yeah.
All the way down to the water.
See, your story is completely reversed for us. Like, we would leave at midnight to go to the mountains.
Go to the mountains.
So, I mean, just completely reversed. And it's weird how you talk to people that live on the beach. You're like, how many times y'all went to the beach this year? None. And then you talk to people that live in the mountains, they're like, we don't go.
We're in the mountains, so we don't really have to go. And where I live, you can be up in Boone, like I said, about 35 minutes, Blowing Rock about 40.
We used to have a timeshare in Pigeon Forge.
Oh yeah.
So we were there a whole bunch.
We love camping over there. Like I said, we started getting into camping, but that's our kind of go-to place. We'll go there a couple times this year, I'm sure.
What kind of camper you got?
Just a travel trailer. about 30,
That's all you need for
32
two
foot.
people,
Just
really.
me and her, and of course Liam. We're going in May. That'll be our first trip. We're going for 5 days down at Jackson Springs, and our grandson, I think, his mom and dad will let him. I'm pretty sure they will. He's gonna go with us.
You know what's so cool about camping is like when you get to a campground, I didn't know it was like this till we started camping. You get over there and it's like you're in your own world.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
It's like you're in a little colony now, and if you don't have a golf cart, you ain't nothing.
That's it. We gotta make sure we gotta make sure we have a golf cart. We rented one over here at the beach last year. And that's pretty neat. We pulled in there with our camper, and there sit the golf cart. They already brought it out to us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we gotta have that. It's a lot of fun. I'm real surprised at how much Missy, my wife, she loves it. And she turned that camper into like a little house inside. Everything's in there.
She goes glamping.
It's glamping. Yeah.
You go outside and start grilling, and then everybody else is grilling. What you cooking, man?
Yeah, that's fun. It's a lot of fun. And we got the flat stone, and we got the little pellet grill. What's that? Pit balls. I got one of them. And
you got a flat grill?
Yeah.
Man, them things are so fun to cook on.
Yeah, we don't really. We go out once in a while for Japanese, but Missy can cook it so good. My wife, we don't even, and it's expensive too, by the way. But she makes that Japanese. Yeah, that tastes a lot better than it does.
I got pretty good at making it at one time.
It's fun to watch her. She got flipping everything.
The trick is to pre-make your rice.
That's
right. The night before,
it's cold,
so it don't get all mushy whenever you put it up there.
Yeah.
That's the trick right there.
Yeah, I got good at making it. When I got that flat grill, man, I felt like all I needed was that white hat.
Yeah,
I'd be cracking eggs on it and throwing the shells off.
Up in your hat and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like it. It's it's meet a lot of fun people out camping.
And a plumber can make a lot of money in a campground.
Oh yeah.
It's just somebody pulls in, something's wrong.
Something's gonna leak.
Yeah, and they're like, "Do you know a plumber? We got one right down here."
I'm going to cringe when I start there. Now we winterized ours back in November, early November before it got cold. But we had some extreme cold weather. We had a period of 5 or 6 days he didn't get out of the 20s. Definitely didn't get above freezing. So
it was like that down here too.
I'm going to cringe here about a month and a half and open that camper up. I hope everything is I'm gonna check it out real good.
Well, ignorance is bliss.
I'm gonna share something with you. You're probably gonna think we're a bunch of nuts. But like y'all get some snow up there.
Yeah, we had one snow this year.
Well, we've had
in our county.
We don't usually get a snow. We might get a dusting.
Yeah.
Well, this last snow we had, it was like 5 inches, wasn't it?
We got pretty good.
Man, it was shutting us down. Everybody's like, "What do we do now?" You couldn't get no bread. You couldn't get no toilet paper.
That's all. My wife always thinks it's funny when bread and milk. That's the first thing people go out.
You gotta make them milk sandwiches.
Oh, they make the milk sandwiches. That's what she says, and it's so funny. But
we
her and I may go. We wouldn't use a gallon of milk between us in a month because I don't drink it. She don't drink it. Now she cooks with it.
May get a late night bowl of cereal, maybe.
Cereal.
Maybe somebody can tell us why does the bread and milk get gone?
I think that's an old timey thing.
But it's carried on a good tradition because it's like that everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Like when COVID hit, man, toilet paper was gone. Like,
it makes you wonder, they just quit making it, didn't they?
They do these scare things where they say that the ships ain't gonna come into port with your toilet paper.
That's right, yeah.
So everybody goes out and buys them.
I have to really give it to Missy. She's always been I ain't gonna say she's a prepper, by no means, but we don't run out of nothing. Now, I ain't say we never have run out of anything, but I remember when that COVID hit, we wasn't really worried about running out of the essentials like paper towels and toilet paper. Because we were getting into our stock a little bit, but we always kind of keep plenty of that. But yeah, that was a weird time. I was thinking about this morning. It's been 5 years last week.
I was working in the hospital during that.
Wow.
Before I became an engineer with Pike.
Yeah.
I was working in the hospital in New Bern during the heat of that. We had to wear a mask all day, every day.
Oh yeah, come home and get a place on your face.
Back when it was weird, whenever it first started, you get home and you can see videos of it. If you go back at the very beginning, when there was so much fear of we don't know what this is, I'd get home and I'd look at my grounds like, don't touch me, don't get near me, and I would strip down, take off all my clothes, and put it in the washing machine and wash it, and go straight to the shower. Because I've been in the hospital all day, people dying. We lost 200 something people that first year just with that, and.
I've always kept hand sanitizer for years in my vehicle, but I remember going to the gas pumps and you wasn't there during this COVID pandemic. You wouldn't touch a gas pump barehanded for nothing. I wasn't.
It was a weird time.
And now I just grab it now. You know. But we definitely learned how to wash our hands if we didn't learn anything.
And what's so crazy, I did not get COVID until it got under control. Then I got COVID.
I think that was me. I got it in April of 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you where I got it. I'll tell you how I got it. I don't remember if I was around somebody. But I started getting these cold chills about 3 o'clock. I was sitting at the corporate office, and it was in April 21. And I think there's 4 or 5 of us in the room. I can't remember what we was working on. I said, guys, I just, I think it's cold in here. And they said, no, it's actually warm. I said, I'm freezing to death.
Everybody jumped up.
Get out of here. So I left and went home. Got home, took my temperature. It was 102, I think it was. I was actually sitting in front of the fireplace with a blanket around me, just doing this, Called Missy and I said, I think I was getting sick. And I went and got checked. Yeah, I had COVID. So I got it in the worst 10 days. I had it tough, man.
I did too.
But just think about it being 5 years ago when all this started, and it seems like it's just like yesterday when all that was going on. In one sense, it does, but
time flies.
That was a rough time.
Well, when it first started happening, Randy, my father-in-law, he had to go get tested for something, and Stacy drove him to get tested.
Yeah.
And I was working for Pike, so I mean we were rocking and rolling. We didn't stop. No, line work didn't stop. And she sent me a video. This is like during the first stages of testing, and they had to sit in Randy's truck. Randy was sitting on the passenger side, and the woman would come out and test them in the truck.
Swab.
And,
that's right.
That's how I got done.
But the swab, it evolved, because at the very beginning, I watched that video with Randy, and they put this long Q-tip, and look, Stacy videoed the whole thing.
Disappears.
They just jammed it in there, and I saw Randy go, and then they pulled it out, and I was like,
I feel like it's hitting your brain.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not getting tested. If that's what it said. This thing is sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
They touch your brain with that thing.
But then they started doing like the little nose swabs. Like, that makes sense. You ain't got to go all the way to somebody's brain.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but I mean, daggone.
I've actually
Sticks this big.
I got it. Yeah. It was all the way. Yeah. I got it twice. Missy got it in. I was in New Orleans and she called me. She tested positive for COVID. And at the time, if we were around anybody like it, we had to, separate ourselves still from people. So I went home to take care of her. She had a bad case of it. She actually got it twice. She might have had it 3 times. I really think reality. Thinking back, and we talked about this. Her and I went to the movies in February. We was at the movies in February of 20. Went to see Mercy, name that movie, great movie. Was watching it, never forget. And she said, I'm gonna have to go to the truck. I'm sick, and I really believe she had. She went and got tested and didn't test. She tested negative for the flu. So you got something, we don't know what it is. They didn't know what the test for. They didn't know what COVID was until a month later. I think
that's what happened to Kathy.
That's the same thing that happened to my mom-in-law. She nearly died.
Yeah, she was rough for a few days.
She was in the hospital. Like we thought Kathy was about to go away from her.
Yeah.
And the doctors was like, we don't know what it is. And then a month later, COVID popped up. And I told my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I told my mother-in-law, I said, you were ground zero. Is what you were.
I've had it twice. The second time was nothing compared to that first time.
That
first time.
That knock you in the dirt one.
My wife got it, and my youngest daughter got it at the same exact time.
Wow.
4 of us in the house. The oldest daughter, we told her to stay upstairs, and the wife is tough because she had to take care of all 3 of us. And there was a time where I got so bad that it hurt to turn over in bed.
Oh yeah.
You can't find a comfortable. There's no comfortable position. You sit there, and there's one time
you're afraid to lay down flat because they told you to stand and sleep.
And I got burning up so bad one time. She threw ice packs all over me.
Oh yeah.
And I swear I don't want to wish that on nobody.
No.
Yeah, it definitely put a crank in our step.
Yeah,
it did that.
Actually, I guess thinking back, I guess I actually called it church because we had service. We actually opened the door and we were doing the social distance in every other pew. But that's when our pastor got it, and he was in the hospital for I forget how many days. I think he was on the ventilator for 17 days. He like to left here. He like to left the world. His testimony about that experience is, he'd always bring tear to you. I hear him tell it. Our pastor, he was out with it for a long time. He had a real bad case of it, got bad enough to be put in the hospital.
Well, they kind of the COVID thing kind of got a bunch of people that love church. He got their backs up against the wall, and they had to start being creative because we wanted to be there. Some people started I've never been on Facebook, I'd never done no FaceTime or nothing.
Yeah.
And we had a little group with our church. It was just a little message group where we could FaceTime everybody. Mm-hmm. And I remember one Sunday night we were like, all right, we're gonna go on this FaceTime chat and I'm gonna preach, and it was gonna be our church people. Well, that got out that we were going to do that, and everybody started jumping on that. Mm-hmm. And it was kicking other people off.
Yeah.
And I called John Mark because he was like the IT guy at the time. He was the only one that knew what to do with a computer or a cell phone or a church, really. Yeah. And I was like, John Mark, what do we do? It's kicking people off. I can't preach and knowing people are going to get off. So John Mark said, look on your phone. And I looked at it. He said, all right, you on Facebook? I said, yeah. He said, hit the live button. And before I even if you see the first video, you can find, when I hit when I hit the live button, this is the first time I ever done it, and people started popping up, and there started thumbs up and hearts and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, we in it now. And that, so people started being creative. We got to get the gospel out there. We got to get together.
Well, that's definitely been a path to continue church during that time. It's kind of funny with us. We just had remodeled our church. We started in late 19, right after Christmas, the week after Christmas. It might have been before that. But anyway, we moved our services to the fellowship building. And completely took everything out of our sanctuary, all the pews, all the carpet, repainted, redone. All the old classrooms were all paneling. We took all that out and had it all sheetrocked, and we just had completed that project. And we never got into the church as a congregation until April. The first service we had. So the first several services were all. It would be if they asked me to sing, I would do the music. We had different people in church would do the music, but only the preacher and the sound person, and it's only 3 or 4 of us at one time was at church during that time.
Yeah. Well, we did some outdoor services, that house we just passed by. That's my father-in-law's. Yeah. And I was on the porch. The musicians were on the porch. Yeah. We had everybody pull up in their cars.
I've seen them. Your churches have outside people sitting in their cars and stuff.
And I would be preaching, Andy, and I would start hearing people blow the horn. That was amen. It was a. And I believe that the Lord can take something bad and make it good. And I think that we learn a lot during COVID as far as church. Yeah, if you got the desire to go, you're gonna find a way to go. Yeah. You're gonna find a way to do it.
The sad part about that, some of our members of our church never come back because they got older. They got older. And, I think about 1 or 2 particular that never actually got to see our church finished. They weren't able to come back. But they were able, up to their death, to follow through the Facebook path. That helped. And it's some people say it's not the same. Well, it's not. It's not. Being live anywhere is better than watching it on TV or watching it. But it is we're thankful we had that path.
It got us through. It got us through.
Yeah.
And I think some people. Everybody did different stuff.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want nobody to come to church. And I might add this. This was the first year I started pastoring. Like my first year, it was like, here we go, I'm a pastor, I'm gonna be preaching, I'm so excited. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so like everybody was doing different things. I didn't want nobody to come to church and get sick and die. You know what I'm saying? That would have been on somebody like me. So we were trying to make good moves, and just as soon as we could get back in, we were in.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was a weird time. Yeah, I believe when youngins read about what we went through with COVID, like.
It'd be like us reading about the pandemic of the 20s.
Yeah.
Same the
flu,
Spanish flu.
100 years from now, there's youngins gonna read about, man, they had COVID and it was shutting them down and stuff like this. And but like churches kept going. You know, I think about stuff. I know that's probably crazy. But.
You know, I remember going so long. I go about every 3 weeks to get a haircut. I've been going to the same barber for years, and they were shut down. You know, and I never forget when they opened. We had to pull up out there. And the barber would come out and let you know who was next, you know, so you don't bring one at a time in there.
Yeah.
Cut your hair, but my hair was getting all, I was getting so, everybody's was, you can see them.
Yeah, it was getting
rough, you know.
Yeah, that's where my wife started cutting mine.
Yeah.
She's just getting that
buzz cut.
Level 1 cut.
Yeah.
Start rolling back. So.
My cousin's wife cuts hair, so she's always cutting my hair, so. I'll be like, Brooke, we doing this? She'd be like, yeah, come on.
Yeah. Now, our son, you know, Justin and Courtney got married the following year in 2021 in February. They got married at a big church, their church they went to at the time, Bethel Baptist Church, a big church, but was only about 12 or 13 of us there. We couldn't have the congregation, but it was a beautiful, beautiful wedding, sweet wedding. We still had the wedding, but yeah. You know, a lot of the weddings were moved outside and stuff like that, you know. But
and I'm a hugger, you know, like
that was
and I like shaking hands and stuff.
You know, that was the toughest thing to. And even now, some people just fist bump you and stuff.
And it gets so awkward. So put your fist up again. Sometimes people will be like,
you don't know what to do.
That's when I just be like,
just stop. I give them a little lead time. I'm like, here it comes.
Well, I remember, you know, in 2020, a Hurricane Laura hit, and we were all down in Louisiana, and you know, having to wear masks from time to time, being in those tight quarters and stuff, and people come up and introduce yourself, and you know where to shake their hand or fist bump them, or you know. But,
you know what really got me, and I ain't trying to talk junk about nobody, but like when I understand the mask thing, I really weren't fighting that. I understand what they were trying to say. Was it encroaching on our freedoms? That's an argument somebody else can make. I think it was, but like seeing people ride down the road with just one person in the car with a mask on, I was like, no, I'm not understanding why they're doing that.
That's still happening right now.
Yeah,
I just saw it just recently, probably the last couple of weeks. Yeah, that was wearing that mask thing was so tough, but at the same time, I don't know, you felt like it. Okay, this is the right thing to do. You know, this is whether you agreed with it or not, but you know when.
It got to a point where it was like, all right.
It got a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But,
and it was tough wearing one every day to work.
Oh,
I had to wear one every day.
Yeah, Missy, she worked at the pharmacy at the time, bless her heart. She'd come home and she'd have that thing. You could see and
the back of my ears would be so sore. And then they started making these things that you could tie it to so it would go around and not be around your ears. And
it was a good time for a bank robber.
It's a good time for whoever.
It's the only time you can walk into a bank with a mask on. I guarantee not nobody look at you.
Yeah.
It was a really weird time, and like
we still got tons of those masks at home.
But they're saying COVID. I mean, COVID is still.
It's the thing. It's always be.
I think it's always going to be there now.
That original.
But this year the flu was hurting people.
It's kind of funny during the COVID thing. Nobody ever tested positive for the flu, did they?
That's what I'm saying.
I can't remember if they did or not.
Well, I don't think you ever completely eradicate it because the Spanish flu from the early 1900s, that same variant is still alive.
Yeah.
That same flu is still going around. It's just not bad, bad. Just like the COVID over time has decreased it, that genetic mutations kind of like broke down.
Oh yeah.
And it's not as deadly as it was.
Yeah. You just got to spark this mess and it starts coming back, right? I mean.
Well, now they're talking about measles down. The measles is making a comeback down in Texas. I mean.
in Texas.
Yeah, I think that's where the outbreak was.
You never know what's floating around out there in the air, you know.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this on different episodes, but like, and this might not even be connected, but like, I've went my whole life without seeing potato bugs. But I start planting potatoes, and they start coming out of nowhere.
You're growing them here.
Huh?
You're growing them here in Onslow County, ain't you?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's like I've never seen a potato bug, but then when I started planting potatoes, here's these nasty looking, filled with blood bugs that's everywhere. And I'm like, where do they come from? Like, are they just sitting in the ground thinking, Shorty's gonna plant potatoes someday? Right. We're just gonna hang out until he does. Like, I won't plant potatoes right now, but
Talk about bugs. Did you guys ever have the big stink bugs down this way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, they about 10 years ago, them things about ran us out of our house. They just everybody's house around Wilkes County had them, and
we still get them.
Some counties had them work. Now we probably average about one a month now. You don't see them as much, but man, they were coming in. I like to think our house is pretty airtight, but they would get into the soffit bin or the gable end of the house through your attic. I found out they would start out in the attic most of the time and would come down through openings in like overhead light.
Yeah.
And they would work their way through that light.
That's where ours came in.
And come out. Yeah.
And kudzu bugs.
We got something here that we just learned to grow up with, just learned to live with, but I'm pretty sure, y'all got fire ants in there?
No, they haven't migrated that far north yet. I remember the first time I seen fire ants were in Florida.
Yeah.
And,
so the mountains don't have fire ants.
As far as I know, we don't have that. I've never seen them. I'm not gonna say they're not in Wilkes County. They're not anywhere around. There's ants there.
But brother, we got fire ants here.
I've heard tell people falling in them.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Worst feeling. Just burns right like fire.
I mean you get bit
if you get ate up with them.
And they just keep crawling up. They don't crawl down. They just keep crawling up.
Well, we get trained from a young age. Don't step in a fire ant bed. Like people from around here, when we're walking, we'll be looking where we're going. I remember I thought the fire ants was everywhere until I started working with this guy from Virginia, and he's like, "Y'all got them red bugs at your house?" I was like, "And red bugs is a thing."
Chiggers.
I was like, "Yeah, we got red bugs, chiggers." He's like,
"Oh yeah, we got them."
He said, "No, I'm talking about them ones they'll make it like a dirt pile, and if you flick it, they'll come out." I said, "You don't want fire ants?" He said, "Yeah, we don't have those." I was like, "I thought everybody had those." No. And there's one bug out here. This might impress you, Andy. You've probably heard of it. We call it a cow killer.
Oh yeah.
It's a giant fire ant. That mug is like
that. It's actually a wasp. Without wings.
No wings.
But it looks like a giant fire ant. It's like that big.
They're also called velvet ants because they look like they're made of velvet. It's black and red. Yeah. But they're almost impossible to kill.
I hope none crawls in my truck. I don't want to.
But their bite is terrible. I mean, it hurts.
Yeah, I think there was a period of time where ladybugs were just taking over.
We get those here, but I don't think they're the ladybug variety. I think they're the Japanese beetle. They look just like a ladybug.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
They're invasive. They come through the attic vents too.
Now, did they bring a bug in to kill them or something? Or
no, but that's how the love bug was originated in Louisiana. That's a nasty bug.
I remember Katrina. We went down on Katrina.
Those are deadly.
A love bug, they don't bite.
Well, I must be thinking about
love bugs. They don't bite. They just love.
They just get in you all over your face.
Oh, I got pictures. I had a camera.
Assassin bug. I'm thinking about.
We were down in Biloxi area, Mississippi, and then we was over in Louisiana summer, mainly around Gulfport area during Katrina. And I remember taking a picture of my camera. It was covered. I had a gray camera, and it was just as black on the front. I had to go to the car wash and just pressure wash those love bugs. There were millions of them. All the tractor and trailers, white. They were just black with them, and you couldn't go outside. They were just in your face, and they don't bite you or nothing. But
this is crazy.
Those things were crazy.
The locals, when I went to Katrina, them love bugs were flying everywhere, and I had enough. We were working for Clico.
Yeah.
And the Clico man was like, "Hey, y'all liking these love bugs?" I was like, "Man, I hate them. I absolutely hate them."
Well, they made T-shirts and everything. I think one of the T-shirts they gave us from one of the Storm customers gave us had a love bug on it, I think.
He told me that they were actually made in a lab for getting rid of mosquitoes.
That's right. I think
and he was like, "If you take a jar of them home, they'll probably populate over there." I was like, I'm gonna be checking these trucks to make sure nobody.
I remember seeing all them FEMA trailers going down the interstate, and they were just covered in them.
Yeah, nasty. And you couldn't talk. You couldn't stand still.
Oh,
I'd rather have mosquitoes.
They'd crawl over your hard hat up you'd be back there trying to talk to a crew, and they'd be getting you swat them out
in your nose, mess. Now you'd have to pressure wash your trucks when you came back from Louisiana.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They're in paint.
Taking a picture of that, and back then we didn't have iPhones and nothing, so I got home, got the pictures developed and showing me. I said, "Them love bugs I was telling you about." I mean, it's just thick on that car. I mean, that thick. You couldn't wash your car every day.
You show somebody like one of them, they're like, "Oh, that's a cute bug, man." They got like 5 million of them.
And it was weird. You might have two together, and one of them be an inch long, the other one would be like a quarter of an inch long.
They would connect together and they would fly.
Yeah.
One would be looking backwards, and the other one would be flying, dragging them.
Yeah, one was looking where they was going, the other was looking where they been.
I don't know what the one was doing, but. Yeah. Hey, and something else that we used to have here when I was growing up, we had them a lot, but I don't see them a lot no more. Was lightning bugs.
No, we don't see as many. We talked about that. Now, last summer at home, seemed like they were more plentiful than they've been for a long time.
I remember last summer we had a good amount out there. Well, you need to be near a field or the trees.
Yeah, I need to be. There's a field right beside our house, and you can look off our back deck, and you can see them all over that broomstraw, or that hay field over there. Yeah.
Tell me if you've noticed this too, because this is, I mean, I'm just getting some stuff off my chest right now at this point, but when I was a youngin', when it would start getting cold, the fields would be full of blackbirds. Like they're migrating to the south. When it would start getting cold, miles and miles and miles of blackbirds just going. Yeah. I don't see that no more.
I still see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it ain't like it used to be. Like the fields would be full, the sky would be full.
Yeah.
And it ain't like that no more.
It's funny how them things all kind of fly in sequence, isn't it? You see them flying around.
See a lot of the Canada geese migrating still.
So I got one more question, and then we got to get into the Bible because I know you got to get back. But you remember when you gave your life to the Lord? You know.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Yeah, it was 1983. It's kind of funny. I was going to a revival meeting. Back then, revival meeting started on Sunday and ran through Saturday. So it's on a Thursday night. I'll never forget. They gave the invitation, and of course, you know when the Lord starts dealing with you to be saved, you know how that feeling is, that drawing. You know, the old lady, her name was Nanny Prevail. I'll never forget. She was in her 80s then. When they gave the invitation, I remember her turning around and asking if I was a Christian. I told her no. She said, "Don't you think it's time to become one?"
It just went just like that.
Just like that. And I didn't get saved that night. And Friday, I didn't get saved Friday night. Saturday night, last night of revival. Saturday morning, my brother and I went trout fishing, open bed trout fishing. And all day I was thinking about, going to hell. That's where I'm headed. Long story short, April the 2nd, 1983. That's when I got saved. Not always ain't perfect. None of us are. Matter of fact, there's two types of sinners, I think. Well, I know they are.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lost sinner and there's a saved sinner. I just happen to be a saved sinner now. We sin. It doesn't give me a license to go out and do what I want to.
Yeah, you're in Paul's background now.
Right. Yeah, like Paul, we die daily to sin. But I remember young. I was 15 years old.
So was that a revival?
Revival, yeah. Julius Blevins. That's a kind of a neat story. We sung at my wife's uncle's funeral about 4 years ago, 2021. Right after I had COVID, my wife's uncle passed away, and we sung at his funeral. And at the graveside, this guy came up to me and said, "You the one playing the guitar?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I remember the night you got saved. You was holding that phone, you was holding that songbook, and you slammed it shut and went to the altar and got saved." He said, I said, "You're Julius Blevins. You're the preacher." He was the preacher that was preaching the revival during that time.
Well, were they had he already preached and then they were singing?
Yeah,
and they have an altar call.
Yeah, the invitation. Yeah.
I know this might be putting you on the spot, and if it does, just tell me. But do you remember what song they were playing?
Yeah, Just As I Am.
Oh,
I love Just As I Am, bro.
That is a good song to go to the altar about.
That song is still today is one of my best, the favorite favorite song. Just the way that the words are written, you know, without one plea, you know, the words of that song.
Being raised in the Primitive Baptist Church, that was a big song in the Primitive Baptist Church too.
Yeah, that was probably about, you know, top 1 or 2 songs they ever sung in Invitation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's the Old Rugged Cross has always been a good song. That's a good Easter song, really. I mean, but that one's always moved me. Amazing Grace is like one of my. I'm going through my tops. You know. Amazing Grace is my absolute favorite song, and you know that hymn book.
The old Broadman hymn, the old Red Book.
The Red Book.
Hymn.
Well, down here some's red, some's burgundy.
Well, Burgundy.
That Burgundy.
Church hymn.
Yeah.
That's some of the best songs in it. Now our church switched to one now. It's got some fantastic older songs, but some of the newer songs as well to it. Still based Southern gospel music, you know, Bible, you know, biblical gospel songs, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. I like gospel songs. It's biblical.
Well, I mean,
a message to it, you know.
We were talking to Richard and Sue Lee, and they're gospel singers, and like everybody has different of opinions, but like, I believe you can take that hymnal book, and there is a bunch of songs in that hymnal book that you can bring into any church that you go to, whether it's a praise and worship church, whether it's a contemporary church, and you can pull some songs out of that hymnal book, and people be like, "That's nice." That you know, and there was.
You know, a lot of gospel groups, them songs in that Burgundy book we're talking about, the church hymnal, or old songs. Then all of a sudden you hear a gospel group come out with what do you think is a new song? Well, it actually came from that book.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have that meaning, right?
You didn't know. You said it. You said pretty much what I was trying to say. But so that was it at a revival. Man,
Revival, Maple Grove Baptist Church.
Did y'all ever? All right, we're gonna get in the Bible. Did y'all ever have like a bunch of tent revivals in your neighborhood?
I probably remember going to one growing up. They were, I ain't gonna say they were very popular in our county, but they popped up once in a while.
Yeah. You know, we didn't have them like a lot, but like they would pop up every once in a while.
Seemed like you always had them when it was the hottest weather.
Yeah. They're gonna melt it out of you.
Yeah.
Well, let's get in the Bible. I told you where I was at this Sunday was in the book of Jude.
Yeah, Jude.
Yeah.
The longest book.
The longest book in the Bible, the book of Jude.
I was wearing my glasses.
Well, it's right beside Revelations. Look at there. I got some. I got a Howard Town paper.
Oh, I hear you.
This is fantastic, people. So I preached out of this Sunday, and I'm gonna tell you, it just started flowing.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit of research on who Jude is. And there's been arguments throughout the ages, but they've narrowed it down, and there's proof and evidence of who Jude is. You can just look in the scripture, and you can get the book of Matthew, and Matthew goes through Jesus' brother. Well, not Matthew, it's the book of Mark. In the book of Mark, which you ain't got to go there, but 6:3, it tells you a line of Jesus' brothers, Jesus' half brothers, and in the book of Mark, it goes through his four brothers is James, Joseph, Judah, and Simeon, and Judah is just a short way of saying Judas. And so this right here, this book right here, if we were living in their time, we wouldn't be calling him Jude. His name was Judas, which without the J, it would be Yadis.
Yeah.
So, but this is just a short nickname, kind of like you told me today your name's Anthony.
Real name's Anthony? Yeah,
But everybody calls you Andy.
Nobody calls me Anthony. Everybody calls me Andy.
Well, this is Jesus' half brother here, and it starts off like this right here. We won't go through all the verses, but he starts off saying, "Jude, the servant of Jesus Christ, the brother of James, and to them that are sanctified by God the Father and preserved in Jesus Christ and called." Now, this is his opening letter, and like this is how you would make phone calls back in the days. This is how you would make emails, and like this is how they would do it. They would write it down. And Jude starts it off. He don't start off saying, "I grew up with Jesus. I'm Jesus' half brother." You know, he ain't trying to ride that coattail or nothing. Like I've inherited this. You know, he starts it off saying, "I'm a servant of Jesus Christ."
Yeah.
And we can talk about that a lot. The Greek word is doulos. It means slave, bond slave. It means a person that could have been free, but they chose to follow this. This is their master. They chose a bond servant. And he's saying this, how they would start these letters off is what was really on their heart. You know, you can follow Paul's writing, you follow Peter's. This was what was most concerning for Jude. He wanted everybody to know, I'm not Judas Iscariot. My name's Jude, and my identity resonates with my Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm his servant. I love him. What do you think about that, Mr. Andy? That's how that starts off.
Yeah, he didn't, it wasn't about him, was it?
No.
No. You know, I think a lot of times we make things about us. But, yeah, you know, Book of Jude is seems like it's a book a lot of times that's, I ain't gonna say it's ever been overlooked, not intentionally, but it's not, they don't hear it preached out a lot.
Yeah.
I have in the past, I've heard messages preached out of Jude, but yeah, I like that. That's like you said.
Was positioned right beside Revelation.
It's positioned definitely in the right place.
And like people will flip by it sometimes.
Oh yeah, they're expect you coming from what 3rd John looks like.
Yeah.
And you skip right over it.
John, on the other hand, was kind of like, look at me.
Well, John's got but we're gonna give John his time. But like with the Book of Jude, you know, he doesn't mention James. And before we get into it real big, James in the Book of Acts, if you'll start following the Book of Acts, when the church got originated, James, the half brother of Jesus, he was a leader. He was one of the ones they would go up to and converse with and talk to. But none of these guys, none of the brothers, none of the sisters of Jesus, the half brother and the half sisters, none of them believed in Jesus while his ministry was going. They didn't believe that he was the Messiah.
Yeah, I think my Bible here talked about that. Even Jude says, like most, if not all, of Jesus' immediate family, Jude did not respond favorably to Jesus' ministry during his earthly days.
Yeah.
John 7:5 mentions that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They go up. Jesus is talking to people, and they say, "Hey, your family's outside." And what they were wanting to do was, they were wanting to get Jesus out of that great big crowd, so they could be like, "Wake up! You're telling these people you're the Messiah and stuff." Like they didn't believe in him. But how hard, Andy, do you think? Now let's put this on a personal level for a minute. How hard do you think it was to be the half brother to Jesus? Jesus weren't a troublemaker or nothing.
That's right. Yeah.
Joseph and Mary would have been going to Jude saying, "Why can't you clean your room like Jesus?"
That's right. Why can't you be more like your older brother?
Why can't you do your homework like Jesus? He does. Like, I'm pretty sure
there's some tough shoes to follow. You know, I growing up in a family of being kind of right in the middle. You know, I've always try to be more like my older brothers and. And then I had the younger siblings, being stuck in the middle sometimes, you get that pressure from, won't you be more like your older brother?
Yeah.
Why can't you be more like your baby brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says 3 words there in the very first verse. He says, to them. So he gets his name right out of there. He says, Jude, the servant of Jesus Christ and brother to James, to them that are sanctified by God the Father, and preserved in Jesus Christ and called. Now, I think that we know what sanctified means. Sanctified is a process. It ain't like you've been saved, sanctified, and washed by the blood of the Lamb. Sanctification is a process. It happens.
Yeah, it's a cleansing, I guess, so to speak, right?
Yeah, it's just like what you were saying about when you're getting ready to do a job. You're looking at the obstacles that's in your path. Before you even start the job, you're like, well, that right there can cause a problem. We need to divert from that. We need to put people in play where they can stop that from hurting us. That's a good way to explain the sanctification. Like every day, you're being sanctified every day. You're getting closer to the Lord. I'm not gonna say better, because just as soon as we feel like we're getting better, we're gonna fall and mess up. But sanctification is like you're getting closer to the Lord each and every day if you're honestly trying to. So he said to them that is sanctified, but the word I want to talk about is preserved. Because it says they're preserved in Jesus Christ. Now, what do you know, Andy, did y'all ever have like meat houses and stuff like that?
Yeah, when you think about the word preserved, you think about putting up food, right? Whether it might be a jelly or
or
like you said, a meat house, hog killing, having a meat, smokehouse, stuff like that.
So,
Preserve,
and John Martin, you can take it away from here, but if you see the picture of a dead piece of meat that's gonna go bad, but to preserve it means that you're keeping it good. You know what I'm saying? And you're keeping it where it's still good for something.
Yeah, I'm just reading right here. Sanctified and preserved are in the perfect tense. Christians are once and continually set apart and kept. They are kept for the return of Christ. So yeah.
So look at verse 24.
Kind of breaks down the those two words, sanctified and preserved. There.
Look at verse 24.
Yeah.
And read that to me.
Now to him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. And
that word in verse 24. Now to him that is able to keep. Now I just, we could just go all day with this. We worship a keeping God.
Yeah, absolutely.
A preserving God. Jude has said this twice now.
To keep something is you got possession of it. And I'm glad you got possession of us, right?
Yeah.
Now we fail. We do. We know that. No, as long as we're in this flesh, we're gonna fail them anyway. But that's a good point there.
To know that now some people take this and they go way the wrong way with it, I think. But to know that if you really believe in Jesus, and like you said at that revival, you felt him tugging at your heart, and knowing that, all right, well, you responded to that, and now you are a Christian, and now there's a spirit that indwells in you. Now I get excited about this because I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. I got a spirit inside of me, and though I might wake up one morning and I do pretty good, the next morning I can accidentally get off a track and start going down that path. But to know that we worship a Lord that's gonna keep you, and He's gonna pull you out of that stuff. Yeah. So when I hear people say once saved, always saved, I think they're saying it wrong. I think if you give your life to the Lord and you really love the Lord, He's gonna never let you get too far away. You might stray away for a while, but He's always gonna bring you back to the fold. Yeah. And what do you think about that, Big Red?
I'm just glad He does.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's up to me to try to keep something, I'm gonna lose it.
I can't do it by myself, and no one else can.
If left to our own devices, see, this is the thing I try to talk to people when they're talking about
salvation. And we all got vices.
Yeah.
And we all got them.
But if left to my own good works or left to my own devices, I'm gonna fail every day.
Every day.
But we worship a Lord that's gonna preserve you and He's gonna keep you. And He's going to let you know, hey, that was wrong. He's going to let you know when you're on the wrong track. He's going to let you know, and you're going to learn something from it as well.
That's what conviction's about, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm glad that, I've said things and done things, and as soon as I've done them or said them, I knew it was wrong. That's part of that, conviction, part of that keeping you're talking about there.
What's crazy is if you really want to look at this right here, we're going to fight everything that He's saying. Now, to Him who is able to keep you from stumbling, we're going to fight that. Because we're going to do everything we can to stumble. And to make you stand in the presence of His glory, blameless with great joy, we're going to fight that.
Yeah.
The flesh, we're going to fight that.
Yeah. The spirit inside of us ain't, but that flesh that's on the outside is.
When you think about in this analogy, when a person's fall, what's the potential there? You get hurt, right? Hurt yourself, hurt others. So, spiritually speaking, if you do fall, you're going to stumble. But if you're truly got your eyes on God, you don't want to truly fall flat in your face. You may stumble a little bit, and you can feel Him picking you up, so to speak. Spiritually speaking.
I ain't never thought about it like that. You ain't gonna want to fall on your face.
Yeah, where you get away from God. People do from time to time. They stray. And then some people do end up falling flat on their face. To fall and stumble. I guess they're talking about the same thing there. The writer talking about the same thing.
Fall and stumbling, they work hand in hand together. But and another part was we were at the beginning, but something that's really cool in verse 24. Now, unto him that is able to keep you from falling, John Mark says stumbling. He's got the
I got a different version.
Well, this is the Legacy Standard Bible.
Well, my Bible refers to, it's got a one beside of it. You go here in the middle, and it talks about, it tells you that word falling means stumbling.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and to present you faultless. This is what Jesus does when we come to see God face to face. Whatever happens, like tomorrow, if it's our time to go, there is dirt on us, there is filth on us, but this is what Jesus does. He presents us to God clean.
When he sees me, he sees the blood of the Lamb. You don't see my sins. He sees me faultless.
Yeah.
But we're our sins, is the Bible tells us, is what? It's filthy rags.
Yeah.
Right?
Isaiah. Yeah.
We're dirty. Our sins are.
Our good deeds are as filthy rags to the Lord.
That's right. Yeah.
But okay, so that's verse 1, and we're not gonna go through all these verses. But I want you to look at this because he talks about something. It says, mercy unto you, verse 2, mercy unto you and peace and love be multiplied. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that you should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto all saints. He says, when I thought about writing this letter, I was going to write to y'all about common salvation. And he said, but look, something happened and changed my mind. Now I need to tell y'all, this is the story. I want to tell y'all about contending for the faith. Because salvation, after we attain salvation, the job ain't over.
That's right.
I've met so many Christians, or so many people that claim to be Christians and Christians, where you're like, man, where are you at spiritually? Well, I remember when I was 17 years old, I gave my life to the Lord, but they've not progressed. It's just they're there, and then that's it. They're still. But Jude is saying it ain't over. He's like, it don't really matter how you start. Don't matter what family you came from. As long as you come to the Lord. Now he's saying we need to finish strong.
Yeah.
And contend. And I kind of stopped at verse 3, didn't I, Sunday morning? Like I stayed right here on verse 3 because that word contend is like, contend means we're in a fight. We've got to contend for the faith. Mm-hmm. And if someone ever came into your house and was ready to hurt your family or something like that, what are you going to do?
You're going to protect them, yeah. You're
going to protect them.
That's right, yeah.
Same way with John Mark. Same way with me, because why? Because that's something that we love.
Yeah, you'll put yourself between them and the danger. Yeah. You are.
We're gonna try to eliminate the hazard.
Oh yeah.
But what Jude is saying, he's saying, listen, this is supposed to be our center right here, is that we believe in Jesus and that we're Christians, and he's saying we need to fight for that. And
put on the full PPE of faith.
Yeah, yeah.
They even reference PPE back in the Bible. The shield of faith. So.
Yeah.
But when you think about contending, you think about boxing, you think about wrestling. What we talking about?
Be a contender.
What does them chokers do before they get in the ring, man? They exercise.
That's right.
Look, I would love to have some abs, but I don't do sit-ups.
Yeah, I love to have. I love not to have a body of a 57-year-old. I do.
But I mean, we could easily like start doing sit-ups and exercise and stuff like that, and to be able
work. It's too much work.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Well, in this right here, he's saying we've got to contend. So like, and I just feel like there's a lot of Christians right now that they're not they've not got in the ring.
Yeah.
And contending for the faith,
Yeah, they're on the sidelines, ain't they?
Yeah, and I think
we talk about this a lot. There's a place, there's work to be done in churches for everybody to do. There's a job for everybody. Mm-hmm. So some people say, well, I just want to sit. My job is going to be. It may be your job is to sit out there on that pew and support and worship from there. But there's outside of church, there's still big work, big job to do. Whether it's witnessing and
the field's plenteous.
Yeah, I used to love that song. My field is. What was the name of that song? I'll think of it in a minute. That's part of being old.
You ever heard of
a thought that's starting to come to you a little bit, and about time you start thinking about it, starts going back the other way.
There's one gospel song.
My house is full, but my field is empty.
Yeah. I've heard that one.
Yeah, I used to love that song.
There's one song called "Bringing in the Sheaves." Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah.
The sheaves.
Yeah, the sheaves.
Now I'm thinking it was sheave. I think it was sheave on a crane where
Yeah.
your winch line runs through. It's a different type of sheave though, because you wouldn't really bring those into the house. I don't reckon.
Well, no, but the church though, the church people just, we're around people that don't know the Lord, and we're supposed to be living a godly life in front of them. That way, when like something bad happens in their life, they'll be thinking like, Andy's always smiling. Andy's like at a bad time. Andy's always happy. There's peace to him. I want to go talk to him because he's different than everybody else. And I believe that's what Jude is calling us to be. He's calling us to be Christians. To actually,
He's also reminding you that he uses the word there, once delivered.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of past tense.
Yeah.
I mean, they know that, sometimes you got to be reminded.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he's kind of saying here. And he's
bringing it back full circle.
Yeah.
Man, we were talking about the history of the Bible and everything. There's no other books that makes you think this hard. I mean, there just really ain't. I mean, you can get lost in a verse.
When they say it's the living word, it's actually really the living word.
It can get in your heart. But so he says that right there, and he's telling we need to contend for the faith. And I got to thinking, and you might remember this better than I've watched so many classic boxing matches. The best boxer that I've ever heard of or know that I've watched with on TV was Muhammad Ali. Some people ain't gonna like that, but I remember watching all the old commercials.
Champion of the world and all that. Yeah.
I remember watching the classic matches with George Foreman when he was young.
Mm-hmm.
He
looked nothing like George Foreman.
No, but he was an animal. I mean,
like the grill guy.
Yeah. That's what my wife told me after the sermon. She said, the only time I think about George Foreman was like the grill.
The grill.
And think about the time when he came in, and like he was just killing everybody. He was so big.
Yeah.
And he was just he didn't know it, but 3 or 4 states down the road, Muhammad Ali was watching him on TV.
Yeah, was that him and Muhammad Ali fought the
Rumble in the
Jungle?
Yeah.
In Africa. It was Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fought. Yeah.
But George Foreman had everybody shaking, and Muhammad Ali was watching him like a hawk, and he was like, this man gets tired. Mm-hmm. He'll get tired. He can't go long.
That's how you beat him. He wore himself out, didn't he?
Yep. Then when they got in the ring, Muhammad Ali had studied him. He had focused. He had done his homework. And when he got in there, George Foreman just, he just started beating him down. Yeah. And then a couple rounds went by, and he started seeing him breathe hard. And Muhammad Ali just hit him a couple times and knocked him out.
That's right.
That's contending. That's a contender.
A contender. Yeah.
And I think that's a picture. Now I know he's he's not of the faith. Muhammad Ali wasn't of the faith, but that's what contending looks like. When we ain't on the battlefield, like studying like what we're doing right now. This is a big part of my life, man. I love studying the Bible, praying, fasting. Anytime I get a chance to talk about the Lord, I want to talk about Him. Yeah. That way, when the fight comes, man, we've done our homework. We've done our sit-ups.
That's good. That's real good. I like it. Yeah.
But
makes sense.
Then he goes in talking about people, certain men had creeped in unaware. And he starts talking about false prophets and stuff like that. But there's one more verse, Andy, before we finish this off, that I want to get your take on it. Verse 20, he says this right here. But ye beloved, building up yourselves on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost, keep yourself in the love of God, looking for the mercy of the Lord Jesus Christ unto eternal life. Verse 22, right here. And of some having compassion, making a difference, and others saved with fear, pulling them out of the fire. Verse 22, it means a lot to me because, and some have compassion, making a difference. Mm-hmm. And I remember when you walked up to me at that manager's meeting, and look, man, I know you know this song. Andy's got a voice, and the viewers has heard it now. He's got a smooth voice, don't he? Look, matter of fact, he is.
I don't know about all that now.
He's the.
I've been like accused of being from Tennessee or sounding like Bill Clinton. One time, one lady told me I sound like Bill Clinton.
I believe that's the only reason Bill Clinton got voted in was because of his voice. Yeah. Anyways, he's the moderator of the Santa Claus. He's got a good voice, and I remember like when I was at the manager's meeting, and you came up to me and you're like, "Man, I bet you play gospel music," and like, that blessed my heart, man. I mean, that was and like it takes us to do stuff like that with other people. It takes us to show compassion.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll play a song for them.
Well, we're gonna probably play a lot for them, but I don't know after that last band that they had. I don't know if they'll ever ask people like us to do it.
Yeah, it's the first couple of words there you read made me think about the word focus. As a Christian, we have to stay focused, right, on God, on the it says here, praying in the Holy Ghost, keeping yourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ and eternal life. Just the word focus for me, we lose focus a lot on anything, whether it's our personal life, but our Christian life, you take your eyes off of God, you lose that focus. And we've all agree that we've all been there, probably done that at times, unintentionally.
Yeah.
And maybe even sometimes, God help us, maybe we done it people, I've seen people just totally just walk away from it. And how they do that, I have no idea how they can do that. I got to have God in my life.
Yeah.
He's the most important thing in our life, but, starting your day with him keeping that focus. I think to me, that's what those first couple verses there you read, just verse 20, 21.
Yeah, 21.
I guess the word focus just jumped out at me right there, talking about just staying focused.
How many times have you ever been like out working and like, man, I can't wait to, and some people might not do this. I might be a weirdo, but I love studying the Bible.
Yeah.
And like, I'll be out there working or something, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get to the hotel or and be able to open up the Word of God. And then when I get in there and I start, I'll open it up and then my phone will do something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here? And then next thing I know, an hour later, I've not read the Bible. I've had the Bible right in my hand, but I'm looking at all kinds of mess. And just what you're saying, we got to stay focused. What do you think, Big Red?
Yeah, I mean, in a world nowadays where we have so much in our
distractions
in front of us.
Things in front of you, yeah.
Man, it's so hard. In all reality, it's not. It's not hard, but we make it so hard.
Well, it ties back in with what Andy was saying about line work. People says it's a dangerous job. It's just a hazardous job. There's a lot of hazards in that job. We make it dangerous.
Yeah, and we make. Man,
that just ties right into it, don't it, Andy?
We make this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean,
people come up to me and they'll tell me, man, the devil's on my back. The devil's doing this. I was sick the other day. The devil did that. We're giving the devil too much credit. The devil can't make you do nothing that you don't want to do.
That's right. Yeah. It's like, I hate to see people that's strung out on drugs. I understand that's
tough.
That's pretty tough, but there was a time they made a decision to do that. So you can argue that. You can say, well, they done it to themselves. Well, I understand addiction is a bad thing. It is. It really is. It's terrible. It's sad. It's killed a lot of people and destroyed families and everything else. But it's just like sin. You take that first step. You think nobody's watching. You take that second step, and the old saying is, you give the devil an inch, you'll take a mile. He'll take more than a mile. He'll take that mile pretty quick. You give him an inch, and I just. Being a Christian, I fail him every day. I'm not perfect, but you gotta stay focused. You gotta let him know. He knows our heart. You can't fool him, but he needs to know that he's first in our life. Everything else is secondary. But a lot of times like you said, we got the world in front of us. We got these old phones here that's got everything in the world on them. We think we can't make it a day without it, but
Have you heard of leadership guys when they say it's in a 20 square feet piece where they say nobody wakes up in the morning and say, today I am fully committed to being average.
Being average, yeah.
People just don't wake up and say that. We fall into an average category as time goes.
Yeah.
I think it's the same way when you talk about addiction. Nobody woke up in the morning saying, today I'm fully committed on being on cocaine or being on this or being on that. But little by little, just like you said, little by little, it gets a hold of them. And I never, I've kind of changed positions on this a little bit because if you want to know what a full-fledged druggie is going through, go out there and talk to one. And like at one time, I was really, really judgmental. And I'll just be honest with everybody. Yeah. Everybody's judgmental to a fault. And at one point, I was really judgmental about them. But then I started hanging around with some, and man, I'm telling you what, it's tearing their world. They know it's tearing their world up. And
yeah. Every time I see one, you can follow them. I think God loves them just as much as He loves me.
Yeah.
They make a bad decision, and it's sad. It is. It's heartbreaking to see somebody because you don't have to be like that. Life doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. They made a bad decision on that. Yeah. I made plenty of bad decisions.
I made terrible.
Just because I didn't make a decision like them, don't make me better than them.
That's right. Yeah, we're not no better than them whatsoever.
And everything we're talking about right now is what Jude is talking about, having compassion. Mm-hmm. I think, like, if anything happens in 2025, I think the church needs to get back to that. They're not talking about everybody that's in church, but church as a whole.
Just need to love on one another.
It needs to show love.
Yeah.
Compassion and love, they go right hand in hand. It's like hard hats, safety glasses.
People, when I know somebody cares about me,
mm-hmm.
I don't have to question if my wife cares about me. I know she loves me. My family, my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandsons. I know, my brothers and sisters, I know they all love me. But when you truly know that when maybe a stranger is interested or has compassion on you,
mm-hmm.
That's what we should show ourselves. What the Bible tells us to show ourselves, be Christ-like.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be Christ-like, but show love towards one another. And we're not. The old saying is, you can judge a book by its cover. The Bible tells us we're not to be judges, but we're kind of like fruit inspectors, so to speak. I guess there, but we're real quick, and I am. At times, you see the exterior of a person, you automatically jump to the different, the wrong conclusion or.
Something I battled with for a long time, and you probably don't know about this, Andy, but like I battled alcohol for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Like, and it took me. I mean, it took me places I didn't want to be, and like, though I was able to counteract, I wouldn't have been able to do that without the Lord. And so. Compassion, it should look like this. Mm-hmm. I know what has happened in my past, so why wouldn't I think that there's other people around me going through some of the same stuff?
Same thing.
And we just
turn your life around, they can turn theirs around.
Yeah, it's like it's like sometimes we forget where we came from or what the Lord got us through.
Yeah,
we're just here. We're like, oh yeah, things are good now, and them people would not be doing that. We're actually in the same position we were at one point.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, this means a lot to me, but I mean, I ain't trying to, beat a dead horse. Big Red, you got anything else with this?
No, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed having Andy here.
Yeah, I enjoyed being here. It's been fun.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry I sound like I got
No, sir.
Got these allergies going on.
No, man, I'm telling you, when you start talking, I just need a warm glass of milk. And you got that voice, Andy. But is there anything else?
Yeah, Mama always said I had a face for radio.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, we appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
Man, thank you for coming to the back porch.
Enjoyed it.
And do you care if you pray us out?
Yeah, go ahead. You want me to?
Yeah.
All right. Our Father, Lord, thank you for this day you've given us, Father, Lord, for the time we've spent together, Father, Lord. And since we opened our eyes this morning, Father, Lord, we've been blessed. And we thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your love, your mercy, your grace. Father, Lord, thank you for the cross, for what it means to us in our life. We thank you for Brother John, Brother Shorty. Lord, we love them, Father, Lord. We thank you for letting our paths cross, Father, Lord. And we thank you for the work they do, Father, Lord. They not only for the church, Father, Lord, for the community, and also, Lord, for our place of employment, Lord. We thank you for that. We thank you for our time again. Like we said, spent together, Lord. We love you. We thank you for all your blessings, Lord. We pray to be with us as we exit, Father, Lord, and head our separate ways, Lord. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.